Jackson, KNXX, Donaldsonville, and WDGL HD2 Baton Rouge. This hour brought to you by Spencer Callahan Injury Lawyers, LA 21-12681. Offices in Baton Rouge.
Good morning. It's 7 a.m. here on Thursday, June 20th. Today in Baton Rouge, expect mostly sunny skies with a high of 93. In hour one of today's show, we'll talk the latest with LSU baseball roster news, and Ross Jackson hops on the show at 7:30 to talk some New Orleans Saints. You can follow us on Twitter or Instagram at OTB_ESPN and watch us on YouTube at the 104.5 ESPN channel. Hour number one of Off the Bench, live from the Mercedes-Benz Baton Rouge studios, starts now.
Let we go!
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert.
Yeah!
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
Hey, they said I gotta come off the bench.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. Yo.
Yo, and welcome into OTB here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. No T-Bob, but Jake, Alondra, and Tay all here with you today on this Thursday afternoon. We do have a big show planned for you, a lot of great guests, a lot of great things to get into, but we'll start the show hating on T-Bob. My man is back in Cabo yet again, and I had forgotten this. He was actually just there in April. I think that's what we agreed on, April for Easter, and he is back in Cabo. Former LSU running back, LSU legend, Stephen Ridley's getting married, so congratulations to Stephen Ridley down there in Cabo. But, back in Cabo, no kids. Taylor and I, we were talking to T-Bob yesterday. He's even got a place to stay, His stepdad has a house there in Cabo, and he's like, we get to use it every once in a while. So really always got, we just got to pay for flights, and we'll be down there in Cabo. It must be nice,
It really must be nice. We were saying, I wish I could live like T-Bob. No cares in the world, lives his best life. But I wanted to ask y'all, what's the over-under on how many times he loses his phone this weekend?
Oh my God!
Because Cabo, Gronk's going to be there.
If Gronk's there now, there's other people that could be there that actually I think line up more with who T-Bob is more than Gronk. Just seeing Gronk and hanging with him a couple of different times, I think T-Bob actually goes to even a step farther.
Jeez.
So there's people there that actually might be worse influences on T-Bob. But he loses his phone at Toledo Penn, so he is certainly going to lose it at Cabo, right?
Yeah.
Well, not only that, yesterday he was telling me he had an issue with his iPad. He misplaced it. The charger's gone. So there's a chance we don't hear from him at all because,
we won't
as you guys
hear from
know,
him.
in the group text, if he's texting us, it's from his iPad. So,
that's true.
He already has an issue with his iPad. Phone's gone.
Yeah, when he goes on vacation, we literally, no matter hell or high water, no matter emergency, non-emergency, we don't hear from T-Bob. But I wonder, if he at least gets notified that we're trying to reach out to him, because Cabo's obviously going to be on a different time zone than we are. At least I believe so. Sorry, some of us can't go to Cabo, so I don't really know that for sure.
Yeah.
I think it's on a different time zone.
I know some places in Mexico are the same.
Okay.
But I don't know about Cabo.
Even if it is, I think we need to spam. We typically get our text thread going pretty early. Alondra, you had a funny Justin Timberlake thing this morning, at 5:30 or so. And so I think we should just spam just early text messages all weekend long.
Okay. I'm down.
We'll be up.
Yeah.
We're responsible adults. We're not in Cabo by ourselves.
Right.
Do you hear some jealousy in our voice? Probably so.
Well,
yeah. We are.
Because we haven't been to Cabo twice in 2 months.
I've never been to Cabo.
Yeah, I've never been to Cabo.
Taylor?
Yeah.
Taylor, I don't know. You vacation a lot.
I've
Have
never
you ever
been to Cabo.
No Cabo.
Not even. I've never been anywhere near Mexico. I went to Aruba for my honeymoon. That's the only time I left the country.
Jock said, "You are going to feel terrible when he comes up missing and is never heard from again."
If anybody
don't you put that on me, Ricky Bobby?
If anybody goes missing in Cabo, it's T-Bob.
Oh my gosh, and no children too.
That's
I feel like having the kiddos around probably keeps you in a little bit of a bubble as far as how crazy you truly get. Maybe not, but just maybe a little bit better with no children. That's the thing. And also, he's going to see people probably I'm thinking former teammates that he probably hasn't seen in a while.
Yeah, he's going to be
T-Bob's going to be up at an 11.
Yeah.
And T-Bob at an 11 it's a lot. In a good way, but it's a lot.
Yeah.
So.
I can't wait to hear how messed up his voice is when he gets back.
Okay, last thing before we move on.
Just hating on T-Bob.
Last thing, because, we're throwing a lot of hate out here from my man T-Bob.
It's fine.
He's supposed to be back on Tuesday.
Oh, yeah. I don't know.
On a scale from 1 to 10, how confident are you that he'll be back here in this seat across from us on Tuesday?
Okay, so he has checked his email for like a week straight.
That is true.
So that makes me feel a little better about him coming back on time. So I'm going to say for him to get here on time, I'm at like a 7.
Oh, okay.
I know.
I was going to say 6.
Okay, I was going to go 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll call it 5.5.
Yeah. I think,
Yeah.
Look, T-Bob is one of the hardest working people, literally, like, honestly, that I've ever met. And he does a ton of work every single day for this show. But if there's one time where he is going to maybe slip just a little bit, and look, again, hardworking son of a gun, it's going to be when he's coming back from a vacation. Hey, we missed our flight. Oh, man, you had an early morning flight in Cabo?
No,
it was actually at 4:30 in the afternoon, but, yeah, we missed it. We're not going to be able to get out until tomorrow afternoon at tomorrow night like at 6. It's going to be the first flight. It's like, they don't have a flight until 6 tomorrow night? Nah, it's weird.
I know. That was the part that killed me when he came back. It's like we all thought.
26 hours between flights.
Yeah, we all thought that it was like an early flight that they missed, and we were like, okay, yeah, we get it. He comes back, and he was like, nah, it was like at like 4:30.
Well, and he was flying from like Tampa to here. I'm like, bro, there's a flight every 20 minutes from
20
Tampa
minutes
to here.
Tampa to New
Every
Orleans.
20 minutes.
It's like, man, just enjoy it. We're good. We'll figure it out. Okay, I lied because this is a good one too from Brendan. How hard will T-Bob try to fit in with Gronk, and will Gronk find him funny?
No, because
he laid it out yesterday. I know.
T-Bob's going to try too hard.
T-Bob
We should have given
organically
him a pep
is
talk.
one of the best hangs of all time.
Yeah.
He's funny.
Yeah.
I wasn't with him. I was with him earlier the night that he was hanging out with Drewski and Theo, and he was fine. But he is self-conscious about that night. Like, he plays that over in his head over and over again. So I don't know what happened, but I know that it hurt him.
Yeah.
So we just got to make sure that doesn't
We should have
happen.
given him like a little pep talk.
Yeah.
The thing I
Like, hey,
love,
just
We
be
need
yourself,
we do
bro.
need to gas him up a little
Yeah.
bit. Maybe we all like write out the same message
Yeah.
and send it at the same time.
Okay, I'm down with that.
the thing I love when T-Bob goes like, whether it's vacation or we come back on a Monday, you'll see this during football season. It's a sight. Like after a big win or whatever, you see videos of him like screaming at the top of his lungs for like 20 minutes. He gets in here Monday and he's like, guys, I'm sorry, I don't know what happened to my voice. I'm like, you don't know what happened? Like, what do you mean you don't know what happened? I know what happened.
And that's why we love
Every
him.
week.
And that's why we love him. All right.
Shout out
All
T-Bob.
right. Last time, at least in this segment, that we're going to throw shade at our boy T-Bob. Honestly, hope he has a great time. Sounds like it's going to be, it's a wedding in Cabo with a former teammate. How could that be a bad time? All right. So today's show, we're going to have, as Taylor laid out, Ross Jackson, 7:30, coming up here in a little bit to talk New Orleans Saints. We're going to release the full all Meathead radio team at 8 o'clock. The Feel Still magazine has now been released to the VIP members, so I feel like we can go ahead and give the full all Meathead team out at 8. And to talk about that and some other college football news, my guy Bobby Carpenter, the general, will join us at 8:15. We've got Chris Lowe from ESPN to talk SEC at 8:30. We've got Taylor's story of the day at 9. Hopefully it is an uplifter. And then we've got Chef at 9:15 and a lot of things to get to in between. But to start off the show, outside of hating on T-Bob for being in Cabo and leaving us here, LSU baseball continues to add to its roster. Now, Alondra, there's a lot of addition. There's some subtraction as well, and you've kind of got an updated list because it has been, honestly, every single day there's been something more coming in than leaving recently, but you do have some players leaving. What is maybe the latest updated list of players leaving LSU baseball and players coming in?
Okay, so just left yesterday, actually. MJ Seo, he was a pitcher, right-handed pitcher, just entered the transfer portal yesterday. And then we've also got Javen Coleman in the portal, Paxton Kling, Samuel Dutton, Zeb Riddell, Nick Bronzini, Cam Johnson, Aiden Moffitt, Micah Bucknam, and Austin Relic. They're all in the portal. And then we just got Eddie Yaman last night from Dayton. He's a 6'5" infielder and catcher. Right-handed pitcher Chandler Dorsey from USF. And then Indiana State, Luis Hernandez. Also from Indiana State, Luke Hayden, right-handed pitcher. And then Devin Sheeran, Chris Stanfield. And that is it for the people coming in.
All right, so before Taylor gives us kind of the breakdown of Yaman and maybe who he is as a player, Alondra, you saw on his glove that he had a Bible verse. That was incredible.
It was awesome. He has Exodus 20:15 on it, and it says, "Thou shalt not steal."
Already love it.
If there's a verse you're going to have on your mitt as a catcher, that is one of the most coolest ones that you can have.
All right, so I love that. Yeah. And with Brady Neal in the portal, Hayden Travinsky and Alex Milazzo moving on, obviously graduating, no longer have eligibility left. You now have needs at catcher. You've brought in a couple of players that have catcher history, but Taylor, this feels like probably the guy that's going to be behind the plate for you most of the season.
Well, the good news is he plays first base as well. So when they brought him in at Dayton, he's about 6'1", 6'2". He is 6'5" now, so they actually moved him to first base at the end of 2023. Last year, he kind of bounced back and forth between catcher and first. He mostly played first. Jay brought this guy in for his bat. So whether he's at first base, whether he's a catcher, last season he hit .342, 13 home runs, 54 RBIs. And then that's a guy who, everyday catcher, everyday first baseman, so he's in the field as well, batting .342 with 13 homers. This guy's going to have a spot in the lineup, whether it's behind the dish or at first base, because you're probably replacing both those spots, because, it doesn't look good for Jared Jones' chances of coming
Well, it looks
back.
good for him.
Yeah.
Maybe not from an LSU perspective there. Am I crazy, or is this like a deal where every time we talk about a player, it's like, he came into college 5'3", and now he's like 6'8"?
Yeah, I feel like there was somebody the other day that
was a pitcher from Mount St. Mary's.
Yeah, it was a pitcher. He came in.
Obviously
college,
not that drastic, but
he was 6'1". Now he's like 6'5".
How the hell does that happen? Look, I've been 5'10" since I was in 8th grade. Like, how is this continuing to happen?
You're supposed to hang from the bars.
Well, low men win, so I didn't want to hang. We got to keep that rep up. But that's the second player.
Yeah.
And so I bring that up honestly to say, if you're looking at Mount St. Mary's, and if maybe you're looking at Dayton, and you're like, wait, they're at smaller schools. Well, a couple of things. One, look at Texas A&M, who's going to be playing for it all. They actually brought in a ton of smaller school guys, Ivy League and other different smaller leagues, and they're actually thriving. It's if you can play baseball, you can play baseball. And you have to scout that. You have to understand, okay, when they went against 94, 95, how did they, fare in those outings? And so you have to make sure you do your homework. But we're seeing that across college baseball, that you can come from a smaller school and make an instant impact. So, that's part of it, though. The late bloomers.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah, and we also have, people from JUCO that I didn't mention, but let me pull it up.
JUCO baseball used to be, in football as well, and we've talked about it in the football aspect of this a bunch. That used to be how you got a veteran player. If you were a position that had, say you're a tight end room, and you had a sophomore and 2 freshmen, and that was your room, and you wanted to get older, that's the only way that you could do it. Now, we don't see it as much. Baseball's still more than football, but LSU has added a couple of players out of junior college.
I remember, speaking of football, back on your 2017, we bring in Terrence Tolliver. He was the big-name freshman.
Oh, yeah?
Demetrius Bird signs right after, and everybody's excited. They're like, no, this is the guy that's going to play. He's JUCO. He's the JUCO guy. He's got the experience. That was huge back then.
Oh, he ended up making 3 of maybe the biggest plays in that national championship season. And so, it doesn't happen as much in football. Still happens a little bit in baseball. And LSU's added, Alondra, 3 players from junior college ranks?
I think it's 5. So it's Trevor Schmidt.
I just know one of them's named Blaze.
Blaze Priester. And then there are a few other ones. I lost the page that I had them on.
So, LSU baseball continues to add a ton of players. Yes, they have lost some. The players that they lost, were they highly recruited? Yes, they were, but they weren't impactful early in their LSU career, so they decided to move on. I think the one surprise has been Brady Neal deciding to put his name in the portal, but you've added a couple of players that have catcher experience in their bio, and so that's going to be a position that we're going to pay attention to, certainly in the fall and leading into the spring. All right, we will step away here. We have to update you what's happening in Omaha. It's worst case scenario, and we'll tell you exactly why it's the worst case scenario when we come back here on OTB.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
All right, go to TrashRangersLLC.com. A couple of different things that they can do for you. So if you live in Ascension, Livingston, those surrounding parishes, we are talking to you to have your trash pickup get done by Trash Rangers, right? You see the red can, you're jealous of the red can, I'm jealous of it. Well, you can have the red can if you live in one of those areas, 225-363-9053. Call that number, get everything set up. You can also do it on the website I gave you, TrashRangersLLC.com, and you can go ahead and set that up, and so you get the weekly service, obviously reliable service, no hidden fees, weekly text reminders, which is just huge, but also like roll-off dumpsters. So if you own a business and you have a large project that you're doing, they can come out and they can give you the dumpster there. If you're doing something smaller at your home, remember they have 3 sizes in those roll-off dumpsters, and we're talking to all of the Baton Rouge area, not just those parishes we gave you earlier. Find all that information on their website, TrashRangersLLC.com.
Get the 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge app powered by Bayou Ford and tap the microphone icon to send us your thoughts in an audio message. Your message could be played on air during Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob, The Hunt Palmer Show, and after further review with Matt Moscone.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you.
Matt Moscone inviting you to join us for Thursday's AFR. LSU safety Jordan Gilbert in studio with us. And it's decision day for elite offensive lineman Carius Kern. Will he pick the Tigers? We'll know, and we'll talk about it. 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
All right, welcome back in, OTB, here on Thursday morning. I got that right, Alondra, even though I thought it was one day past the day that it actually is all week. It is Thursday. Big show tomorrow, by the way, with a couple of big guests. We'll tell you exactly who that is later on in the show. But here we got to have some bad news, not only for you, the listener, but for everyone in this room, because, well, in Omaha yesterday, it was worst case scenario. You're hoping Kentucky can find a way against Florida, and then they can somehow, some way find a way against Texas A&M, but they don't even get past Florida, and they lose 15-4. Okay. Florida has to go, beat Texas A&M twice. They don't beat them once. They lose 6-0. So A&M is in the championship series. Okay. You still have another opportunity for Florida State to, pull off the impossible and go beat Tennessee a couple of times. Well, they also don't do it even one time. And Tennessee beats Florida State 7-2. And so one of the scenarios that we talked about the other day that we were hoping that didn't played out exactly how we were hoping it did not play out. So now you have a championship series that is yet again all SEC, but it's between Tennessee and Texas A&M. Now, I believe we went across the room, and it was these two teams, right?
It was Texas A&M and Florida. That's
okay.
what we were talking about.
Okay, so let's do it again then. Texas A&M, Tennessee. Who do you want to see win? And no, you cannot have the lights go out because I've thought about that as well. You cannot have an event in which they won't play this game. Yeah. You have to play it out. You have to play it, yeah.
All right, so I think we actually did both. Like, I think we did a Texas A&M. And Florida.
We can hit reset because, honestly, I don't even remember.
I picked, I'd rather have Tennessee win, but I think that after all of y'all said A&M instead, and then T-Bob kind of started to convince me otherwise, and Tennessee was being so annoying on Twitter that I kind of feel like I don't want Tennessee to win, but I also hate the Aggies so much that I don't know.
Right.
Like, I feel like evil is winning here. It's not okay.
You sound like a president, like evil is winning.
Yeah, we need to do something about this.
Tay?
Everybody listening knows how much I hate it.
You do. I mean, it might be your number one.
It is
like
my
it's your Florida,
one.
yeah.
And it ain't even close. I'm going to pull for A&M to win this series, though. Yeah. Tennessee has a lot more staying power. Tony Vitello is a top 5 coach in baseball. The more you can keep them down, I think that's better for LSU in recruiting in the long run. I don't know how much staying power A&M has as a baseball program. I think it's better for LSU if A&M wins.
Yeah, and that's, we're always going to look at things through that lens, and I think I'm right there with you. I think Tennessee has some coolness to them, to the outside world, right? They've got some flair. They've got some swag. They've got some real juice. They do. Yeah. They love him or hate him. Yeah. Either way, like he's polarizing, right? You have a strong emotion towards him one way or the other. And just for that, the style of baseball, the daddy hat, the fur coat, the way they let them play, their fans have completely bought in. Yeah. Now they got a matchbox of a stadium, but still, like, it's packed, and they've kind of created this nice environment.
Yeah. Win that championship, it won't be a matchbox stadium.
Yeah, and they're already doing some like big things to the stadium and just the baseball program in general because of the success that they've had. They win a national championship. That feels like it's only going to go up. And we talked about it yesterday, I think it was, maybe 2 days ago. Like A&M still got some things that they do that doesn't, appeal to everybody, right?
Yeah.
So like you have that hope, and you don't feel like Texas A&M will maybe take off like Tennessee. Not to say that they're not already there. I mean, they're in the championship series. That's what we're talking about. But, man, Tennessee, if they feel like if they get this one, then we're talking about them for the next decade. But if they don't, then I think the conversation completely flips on its head, and we're talking about more disappointment of not winning a championship.
Yeah. Because you've been there so many times. And
you've had the teams you feel like go win one over the last 4 years.
So it'd be a huge disappointment if they don't win.
Well, the thing about like Vitello, that's the thing. They're like, oh, he's a fiery, he's a young coach. Is he mature enough to get his team over the hump? Like, that's been the big thing. Like you said, if that doesn't happen, that conversation continues.
Yeah.
If Vitello wins, as young as he is, this could potentially be a dynasty for a long time. Schlossnagle, on the other hand, he seems like the guy that would win a championship, then, kind of cruise the last couple of years and then retire. I mean, that's how I view Schlossnagle. Yeah. He's not as young as Vitello. He doesn't, again, I don't think that they have the staying power that Tennessee does.
So we are here. I think we've arrived at Texas A&M, everybody.
Unfortunately,
yes.
Yeah,
I know that hurts.
Pains me.
It hates the growing up Texas fan in Alondra, and it truly hates Taylor because Taylor has Hunt Palmer levels of hate for Texas A&M.
We're different, though. Hunt thinks that A&M is a threat, and he never wants them to be good. I don't respect A&M as an athletic program. We're a little bit different on that.
I'll go A&M for all the reasons that we laid out, but also for my guy, Nolan Cain. Great LSU player, was on the national championship team in 2009. Obviously, his wife, Kristen, great softball player here at LSU. They both worked for the university as coaches and administrators in different roles for a very long time. LSU, is in their blood still. Like, I know they're Texas A&M, but it's hard not to root for my guy, Nolan Cain. Would love to see him get a national championship. And so, yeah, Texas A&M,
That's true.
Final answer?
I forgot about Nolan Cain.
Yeah. So, here we are. Rooting for the Aggies.
Beth tweeted a graphic saying "Call him Baton Rouge" last night. I wonder what that means.
Oh, is that like her Jay Johnson tiger emoji?
Right. That's what I'm wondering.
Okay. I mean, she brought somebody in after a big loss to Mississippi State.
Yeah.
This day and age of the portal, man, it's just you are back and forth. You are probably. Now, we're not inside these meetings, but, like, I'm just going to assume that Jay Johnson didn't think he was going to lose, like, a Brady Neal. Like, I'm going to assume that.
That was the most surprising one to me,
and so,
honestly.
Right, so you have a plan in the portal, but that just shows you, because you don't know, because you're dealing, in a different age than we've ever been in before, then you're Jay Johnson, and then what you had as your plan, maybe as your top priority, completely flips on its head, like, in just one day, and now you're like, oh, we got to go get a catcher. And we had the surplus of catchers. Now we don't. Well, we have Brady. Maybe we bring somebody in like they did in junior college ranks, like you talked about earlier, Alondra. It's like, well, that's not going to be enough. Like, that's a good backup piece. That's not somebody we're going to roll out there for 60 games behind the dish. We got to go get somebody else. And it's forever changing, and you got to stay on your toes to be able to move with it because, yes, you're going to be able to go out there and get players, but when you get surprised by somebody leaving your squad, then you have to go react to that. And you hope, like, luckily for Jay Johnson, like, you've got still people in the portal that you feel like can come play at LSU.
Yeah. Because like you said, people are always somebody new hits the portal every single day. Like, we have 11. LSU has 11 people in the portal right now.
I think the softball thing's even weirder, though, like, going back to that. You would talk about Raylan Chafin leaving for Mississippi State. So, I mean, Kelly Lynch is gone. I mean, Raylan Chafin was already a starting pitcher in this rotation. She was going to have an even bigger role this upcoming year. That was a big surprise.
It was, and again, that's why you got to just stay on your toes, keep your head on a swivel, and just know that there is going to be strays flying all around you. If you are a college head coach, it doesn't matter where you are, it doesn't matter the sport, those things are going to happen. All right. When we get back, we are going to get away from college baseball, and we're going to dive into the New Orleans Saints. Our guy Ross Jackson joins us to do so. We'll have that for you when we hop back here on OTB.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
All right, go to getgordon.com. Getgordon.com is the website where you can do it all. You can get a free consultation set up on the website. You can have a chat with them right there. Also on the website, you can find past client results, cases they can handle for you in the courtroom. All that information, again, great tool over at getgordon.com. Get Gordon is also going to be the handle on all major social media. So Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever. Go to Get Gordon, and then you'll see what they're doing in the community because they're always doing something in the community as well. They're always doing something with your favorite athletes in the state of Louisiana. here in Baton Rouge, in Lafayette, in North Louisiana, all over the place. They are doing big things with athletes here in the state. Now, if you want to pick up the phone and give them a call, we give it to you every single day throughout the state of Louisiana. All you have to do is put your area code followed by the 8s, 888-8888. That's Get Gordon, getgordon.com. Get Gordon and get it done.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
Thursday edition of Live at Lunch, live at the original Walk-Ons on Burbank. We're loaded down with guests, getting you ready for the weekend. 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., Live at Lunch, live at Walk-Ons on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
All right, welcome back in to OTB. Going to talk to the New Orleans Saints. Always excited to be joined by my guy, Ross Jackson, host of Locked On Saints, joins us now. Ross, we appreciate the time as always. Hope you're doing well this morning.
Hey, buddy, doing great. Thanks so much for having me on, man. Always a pleasure to be here with you.
Excited for my first question because we're actually talking running backs. Now, not excited with why we're talking running backs, but, you know, it's a position that doesn't get talked about a lot. So we'll start here with the New Orleans Saints. Alvin Kamara looks like he, maybe could potentially hold out into training camp. Contract situation not looking great for either side right now. What's the latest you're hearing with Alvin Kamara, maybe where he stands?
Yeah, biggest thing, I mean, there's probably not going to be much movement on this over the course of the next, little bit of time. This might be a thing that extends into training camp just by virtue of when are people all in the same vicinity again, especially with training camp happening out in California. That might literally be the next opportunity Alvin Kamara has to sign a contract. Now, of course, they could certainly get things done during this break and stuff like that and certainly make progress. So that's probably what you're looking for right now is when do we get the update that there has been some progress made towards getting a deal done and things like that. So that's kind of what we're going to be watching for here over the next little bit. But this doesn't seem like it's as big a hurdle as maybe it's being made out to be outside of the facility. I imagine inside the facility, this one's not entirely as challenging as maybe people expect.
So you look at it from afar, Ross, and you're like, okay, AK 3.9 yards per carry, had a ton of catches, but not really a ton of yards to match those catches. I think he averaged a little bit over 6 yards per catch, and so like some of the production has slipped. But also, like if you're in AK's camp, you can be like, well, the offense was stale. I mean, they were basically only going to run one running play. They didn't have a lot of diversity in the run game. The offensive line was not great, as we know, a year ago. And so, like, new offensive lineman, you draft one in the first round. You got a new offensive coordinator. You're thinking your production can get back up to maybe not where, your peak was, but somewhere in between. Like, which one do you think the Saints are looking at right now? Is it a declining running back because 30 is the graveyard age for running backs, unfortunately? Like, where does, like, his leverage, I guess, like, where does that stand because he's not coming off his best year?
Yeah, I think you're trying to balance the two. I mean, look, the fact of the matter is that beyond, the 3.9 yards per carry, you also had a guy who, wasn't able to gain more than 2.4 yards before being contacted because of the play of the offensive line in front of him, or not necessarily even because of the play of the offensive line in front of him, but because of where he was being asked to run. I mean, you go back to 2022, we're talking about a guy that is a get him on the outside, get him out in space kind of back. And he only ran out of his 220-plus rushes, 83 of them went to the outside, were outside zone runs. That's not the way that you were typically used to seeing Alvin Kamara utilized. You go back to last year, it was the first time in 3 years that he's had a negative air yards total. His average air yards per pass came down to minus 0.01, and he only had negative 9 air yards by the time that the season was done. Typically, he's in the 60 to 70 range there because they're also targeting him downfield. So it just kind of goes to show you like where the target distribution was, what the run distribution was, and how that didn't really complement his game. So you have to balance that as an organization, understanding, hey, there's a new offense coming in, but at the same time, you have to safeguard yourself from the decline, right? You don't have to look at him as a declining asset right now, but you do have to still safeguard yourself for the 2-3 years, 1 or 2 years, however it is that they want to look at it. So I think that's going to be the balance, is not looking at him as a declining asset now, but being aware that any running back in today's NFL is going to be seen as a declining asset once they get past that 29 year of age. So you kind of have to look at both of those things if you're the organization, but don't have to treat him as a down commodity now.
Ross, let's, hypothetical worst case scenario that, AK is just like, you know what, I'm not playing for that contract. I feel like I'm more valuable than that. I'm going to sit this thing out and maybe it lasts into camp. Now, I don't think it's going to happen. Doesn't sound like you do either, but let's say it does. Like Kendre Miller going to be like, would he be RB1 and then Williams would kind of be, hey, that'll be your change of pace guy, and you're going to have stuff with Taysom ready to go, but would it be Kendre Miller, RB1, we're going to run the offense through him? Do you think that's the way the Saints would approach that?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, in that scenario, it's where you have to make a drastic decision like that. I imagine you go to Kendre. Kendre's got the play style to be able to do it. The biggest thing is, can he stay healthy, lead back for a full 17 games? I'll throw Jordan Mims and James Robinson into the mix too, because, the Saints would want to have a third guy in that rotation. And both of those players are really, really good fits for what Clint Kubiak's offense is trying to do. The other thing that kind of works in the counter, give Alvin Kamara the extension argument, is that, we've seen this wide zone system now elevate non-marquee running backs in this league. I know we're watching it with Christian McCaffrey right now, but, we've watched it with guys who were not household names and who became household names like Jeff Wilson. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so, we've seen the system work for those guys. Kyron Williams was another one from last year we saw out in Los Angeles. And so, being able to find these other guys like Jordan Mims and James Robinson, these are important steps, regardless, like whether or not Alvin Kamara is in your building. Even with Alvin Kamara in the building, you got to have those guys ready on the practice squad. So I would put them in that conversation too, to be able to add to that backfield if the worst case scenario were to happen.
I mean, it's a great point, Ross. I mean, they ran, I believe, outside zone 44% of the time last year in San Francisco as far as like their runs. I mean, they are an outside zone team. And so I assume that's going to continue in New Orleans, like you mentioned. I mean, you know, branches of this offense in LA and other places, that's what they do as well. And so, like, then it brings up your next question. Like, you feel pretty good. Fuaga, left side, let's run outside zone. What about over on the right side to Trevor Penning? Like, how has he looked? Maybe has the narrative changed a little bit in a positive way for Trevor Penning? What does he look like as we sit here at the end of June?
I think the narrative has changed in a positive way for him in that you're not still watching him struggle to do the same thing. There's now sort of like this built-in kind of, okay, he needs more time because he's learning a brand new position kind of outlook. So it's kind of helpful in terms of, the criticism that might be showering down on Trevor Penning. Otherwise, he was still playing left tackle and not fitting in. And so I think there was a wise decision by the Saints. It also helps to kind of equalize the offensive line. Everybody's learning something new this year. And I think that helps to kind of equalize these guys quite a bit, which is a good thing for Penning as well. I can't say that he's made, major progress now that he's over at right tackle. That would be unfair of me to say because all that we've seen is OTAs and mini camps where no one's trying to have too much contact with anybody and all these other things. So we'll really find that out once the pads go on at training camp, joint practices, and then, of course, preseason as we get into the regular season. So we'll be able to get a much better sort of barometer on where he is in terms of his progress. But I think that if he's going to find progress, this might be the way to get it done. So I don't think it was the wrong decision at all to make this move, and it certainly sets up Penning for lesser expectations, but maybe a greater potential of development, learning something new while also having to learn something new when it comes to the scheme.
Talking New Orleans Saints with our guy, Ross Jackson, host of Locked On Saints podcast. All right, let's go to another position room, the tight end room. It actually, it felt like it was a real strength for you. You had Juwan Johnson, you had Foster Moreau, and obviously you had Taysom Hill. You had an undrafted free agent rookie that you felt pretty good about. And then, one injury, as we know in the NFL, because the rosters are different than they are in college football, it can make you sweat a little bit. Juwan Johnson, he's got a foot issue, going to be out sometime. So that moves Foster Moreau to be your tight end one. So a room that you kind of felt good about. Now the depth is kind of being challenged right now. Where's Juwan Johnson? Do you expect him to be back for camp? And if he's not, are you going to count on an undrafted free agent rookie that they seem high on to be able to fill in maybe as your tight end too? Yeah, I think that would be the case if Juwan Johnson's not ready to go. I've been given a variety of different timelines, and they all kind of fall towards the middle of training camp or so. And so it's tough because even in that case, you rejoin your team during training camp in the middle of it all, and then you have a ramp up and acclimation period. So that's going to take a week or two. Everything like that. So how much do you really get going? So the expectation has still been that Juwan Johnson will be ready to go week one, but to what extent is going to be the question, right? How much time did he get to practice? How's he doing in terms of his conditioning? How is his acclimation? How's his recovery? So those are all going to be things that they'll have to gauge to see just how involved he is at the beginning of the season. But if he's not able to go, yeah, I think undrafted free agent Dallin Holker, coming most recently out of Colorado State, has been the guy that's been the most impressive at the position. Outside of Foster Moreau, is actually he looks like he's bulked up quite a bit and has been making some really, really nice catches throughout practice as well. And he's the guy that I think you get on the field a lot more in Foster Moreau because he can play that true inline, true wide type as a blocker and as a pass catcher. And that's really important in terms of just simply being able to get out onto the field. And so I think that probably those two would be kind of your core tandem. But look, guys like Michael Jacobson, who was on the practice squad last year, has had some impressive moments. They just brought in and signed Jesper Horsted, who spent 2020 and 2021 with Clancy Barone, who's now the tight ends coach here while he was in Chicago. Spent 2022 with Derek Carr with the Raiders. So, he's got a lot of kind of connections with all these guys. And so that could be a way that they go to help supplement some additional maybe third tight end
snaps if needed, if Juwan Johnson's not ready to go. But I think the bigger question for Juwan is going to be when he does return, can he keep the momentum up that he had at the end of last year? 219 of his 368 receiving yards last year all came in the last 4 games of the season last season. So can he keep that momentum going despite this injury, which could cause a little bit of a hiccup in terms of carrying that production over?
Shout out to my guy Clancy. He was a tight end coach in San Diego and Denver. Had him in a couple different spots. Great coach. Love having him down in New Orleans. All right, so Foster Moreau, a guy that if he has to play, he's got a great connection with the quarterback, Derek Carr, their time in Oakland and Vegas and now here in New Orleans. And let's go ahead and get to the Derek Carr portion of the interview to wrap up here. Everyone seems to like what they've seen so far from him in the offseason. Now, as you laid out, OTAs, minicamp, that's not the regular season. That is not regular practice even, because it's a little bit more relaxed. You have no threat of getting touched, and Derek Carr is making the most of that. But Ross, obviously you know football incredibly well. Have you seen things that make you believe that when the bullets start to fly a little bit, it does become live, that he's going to make those improvements?
Yeah, I'll tell you, the thing that gives me the most optimism or the most positivity when it comes to something like that was really the last 2 days of minicamps. As you know, Jake, minicamp OTAs, you're not making decisions, but you're gathering a lot of information. Yeah. You're learning a lot of stuff. And so, and that goes for the players as well as, of course, the coaching staff, organization, all that. So it's information gathering all around. I think the thing that you really learned and that I really enjoyed seeing was in the last 2 days, the Saints did some situational one drive, end of half or end of game situation type drills. 58 seconds to get down the field at the end of the half to take a lead, a minute 15 seconds at the end of a game to get down the field to score and get a win, or at least extend the lead. And in both of those cases, Derek Carr marched the team down the field to not get a field goal, but score a touchdown, and in one case get a 2-point conversion to extend the lead to 3, in another score the touchdown and be able to get what would be a simulated win in that game situation. And the reason why I highlight that is, again, it's minicamp. It's not the regular season. But look, if you can't do that in minicamp, there's no reason to believe you're going to be able to do that in a game. And then on top of that, to be able to get in and out of the huddle quickly, cleanly, no huddle, hurry-up situation, up-tempo situation with a brand-new offensive play calling rhythm, a brand-new offensive scheme, and run it without issue, then that really kind of gives you a little bit of a glimpse and should give you some positivity in terms of how quickly this system seems to be setting in for that first-team offense.
All right, there he is, Ross Jackson. Ross Jackson, NOLA is his handle on Twitter. Give him a follow there. Catch him on Locked On Saints podcast. Ross, you're the man. We appreciate your time. As always, enjoy the rest of your day.
Always a pleasure, dude. Thank you. You too. Talk to you soon. Take care, stay safe, and I look forward to the next time.
Absolutely. One of the best, Ross Jackson. Again, give him a follow. Ross Jackson, NOLA is the handle. One of the absolute best when it comes to covering the New Orleans Saints. All right, we are going to step away. We'll end hour number 1 when we come back. We've got the all-Meathead team coming at you in about 13 minutes from now. We've got the General Bobby Carpenter at 8:15. Stay locked in here with us. It is OTB.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
All right, go to GoTommies.com. GoTommies.com. Tommy's Windows, Doors, and Siding. Love the website now. You can see that they've won the Angie's List Super Service Award every year since 2016 without missing a year. Right there on the side. But I love the website because you can check out testimonials of past clients. You can check out a gallery of the work that they've done. So many different things that they can do for you, right? They can customize a job to your space. I've had Tommy come out to the house, right? He's not going to be scared of a job that is going to be a custom job. He has been in this game for well over 2 decades, right? You don't win the awards that they've won just by doing the basic. They are far more than basic over at Tommy's. So again, go to the website, check it out for yourself. If you want to schedule a consultation, pick up the phone, give them a call, 225-250-8808. And you can also do it online. Find that information at GoTommys, G-E-A-U-X, Tommys.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $20,000 off new 23 Ram 1500 trucks. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $20,000 off the powerful Ram truck. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Elevate brand visibility, ignite customer engagement with the power of radio and digital advertising combined. Guarantee Digital Media brings the two together as a trusted media partner in Louisiana for nearly a century. Claim your free digital audit at guaranteemedia.com.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Farming is a way of life for us. It's not something we get up in the morning and dread going do. It's just something we go to bed at night looking forward to getting up to go do. John Deere equipment is what we as farmers strive to have. So it's in your blood, it's in your veins. It's just a part of who you are. Green is what we want to be in. The other tractors were acquired to patch it up to get to where you want to be. Where we want to be is in John Deere. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Join me for a Thursday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, presented by Rouse's, the latest from the College World Series baseball transfer portal. And Luke Johnson talking Saints. Hunt Palmer Show 1 to 3 weekdays, 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
It's tearing up my heart when I'm with you, but when we are apart, I feel it too. And no matter what I do, I feel the pain with or without you.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
Well played, Alondra. Well played. I didn't prepare y'all for this during the break there, but look, Taylor's always got thoughts on everything, so I'll throw it to Taylor here. Which position group do you feel the best about when it comes to the New Orleans Saints, and which one is still the biggest question mark with the New Orleans Saints?
So I'm going to leave out O-line. That's the obvious answer. So we'll pretend like that position doesn't exist. Where I feel the best, probably corner. I mean, if you look at that room with Marshall and Lattimore, I know there was like trade rumors. That's all died down. So you got Lattimore and Adebo, Alontae Taylor, who was really good in the slot. You draft Kool-Aid McKinstry in the second round. I think that might be the strongest position on the team, top to bottom. As far as where I'm concerned, receiver outside of Olave and Rashid Shaheed. I like A.T. Perry. I like his potential. We just haven't seen it from anybody in that room.
Now, Rashid Shaheed, his role will change a little bit with the new kickoff rules as well. Like, I don't think you want him in there. Do you really want him back there as a punt returner when he is truly your number two? I know he is still slated to be that guy. You have some other guys on your roster that I think maybe they're not Rashid Shaheed, but you're trying to keep your receiver two, and very important receiver too, because of what Taylor just laid out. Maybe his role changes a little bit, but I do think it is fair to maybe ask some questions about the receiver group, because you're counting on people to have to step up. I'll go running back as well. Like if Alvin Kamara's not happy and he misses time, and last year because of a lot of different reasons, I'm actually still in the belief that AK can be a really good player, be valuable. It didn't go well for him a year ago, right? I mean, he was a guy that averaged less than 4 yards per carry. He had a bunch of catches, but running backs with 20 less catches had more yards. Again, I think a lot of that was because of the offense, but let's say that he's not happy and he misses some time. And Jamal Williams, is this the best offense for him? I mean, he's a gap scheme inside zone runner. He's not an outside zone runner, and that's okay. Like everybody has a skill set and a run that they run better than the others, but that's not what he does well. Kendre Miller, he hadn't shown us anything. Not to say he can't, but he hasn't, and he's been nicked up. He's been hurt. I mean, he was a rookie a year ago, and so that position group, if Alvin Kamara misses time or if he kind of half steps his way into camp and he's still mad about the contract because, look, it happens. It happens all the time in the NFL. I understand it. That running back position group looks a little bit different as well, maybe not as strong as we once thought it would be. All right, when we come back here, hour number 2, the all Meathead radio team on the Phil Steele magazine here on OTB.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
All right, go to RejuveMeMedical.com. On the website, you can get a consultation set up, top right corner of the site. You can do it by giving them a call, 225-269-5188. You can actually text them as well, 225-442-0646. Now, there's locations throughout the state of Louisiana, also now a location in Mississippi, and so they can help you in a couple of different areas in our listening area as well. But once you go to the website, you'll get a great idea of what they can do for you. You can go to conditions that they can treat. It's going to pull out a long list because there's a lot of different things that it could be if you're not feeling like yourself. Maybe you don't know. Maybe you just know that you're off. You're just not feeling like you've always felt. Well, you go in, you get your blood drawn, they do the work for you, they get you on a plan to feel like your youthful self. They'll do it all at Rejuve Me Medical. Schedule it today, RejuveMeMedical.com.
Bayou Ford has $10,000 off F-150. $10,000 off the new 2024 Ford F-150. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Farming is a way of life for us. It's not something we get up in the morning and dread going do. It's just something we go to bed at night looking forward to getting up to go do. John Deere equipment is what we as farmers strive to have. So it's in your blood, it's in your veins. It's just a part of who you are. Green is what we want to be in. The other tractors were acquired to patch it up to get to where you want to be. Where we want to be is in John Deere. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Good morning. It's 8 a.m. here on Thursday, June 20th. Today in Baton Rouge, expect mostly sunny skies with a high of 93. In hour two of today's show, we'll do the college football all Meathead team at 8 a.m. Bobby Carpenter hops on the show at 8:15. Then Chris Lowe at 8:30. You can follow us on Twitter or Instagram at OTB_ESPN and watch us on YouTube at the 104.5 ESPN channel. Hour number two of Off the Bench, live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios, starts now.
Let we go! All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert.
Yeah!
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
Hey, Peter said I gotta come off the bench.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. Yo, yo, yo.
Yo, and welcome in. Hour number two of OTB, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. All right, like Taylor just laid out, the General Bobby Carpenter will join us in about 15 minutes from now, and Bobby is my co-host over on Off Campus most days. And, well, when we get together, it gets called Meathead Radio. And now Coach Rick Neuheisel was the guy who gave us this name because he was a listener. And Coach Neuheisel, who's on full ride before us, is like, hey, look, you guys talk like y'all are in the locker room, because we talk a lot of like A-gap runs and B-gap runs and wrong shoulder take-ons by a line, like all these different things, right? And so we got the name Meathead Radio because we talk a lot of like X's and O's on the show. And so for the Phil Steele magazine, for the second year in a row, Phil has asked us to put together the all Meathead Radio team and just kind of wanted us to give an example of what we meant. Because, again, like sometimes you hear Meathead and maybe you're like, is that good? No, it's great, actually. It is a term of endearment on our show. And so we put it together, and kind of the paragraph that we put with it is, you are a guy that has a combination of grit, physicality, toughness, and loyalty. You can always count on a Meathead to get the job done. Chances are, if you can't find him, he's either in the weight room under a stack of heavy weights or in a film room with a clicker in his hand. We've put together a list of guys that are always going to be team first, as they've shown will put their bodies on the line for that extra inch. Always remember, too gritty to be pretty is the Meathead motto. So I think, Taylor, we can put this maybe on the screen for a little bit. There is a couple of LSU Tigers. Actually, I think that we ended up putting 3 LSU Tigers on the all Meathead team. You've got offensive lineman Will Campbell. Of course, he's on the all Meathead team. All-purpose on defense, we put Harold Perkins as the all-purpose player. That's a guy that had to play a lot of different positions a year ago. And even if we didn't love some of the positions that he was playing, I want you to know just how tough that is. Because like playing nickel Sam and playing as a stack backer and playing as an edge rusher, those are all completely different from each other, right? It's not like you're playing, he's playing Mike, but he's kind of playing Sam. He'll play a little bit of Will. Different terminology, different responsibility, but it's all pretty much the same position. Like when you're playing as a stack backer, then you're going out as a nickel Sam, and then you're going to an edge rusher. Those are all 3 completely different. They're never going to be confused, not even, distant cousins to each other. And so for that reason, for some of the stories I get from Jake Flynn and others in the weight room, Harold Perkins found his way as the all-purpose player on defense. And then I threw Whit Weeks in there. If you've ever talked to Whit Weeks, if you've ever seen him walking around campus, if you've ever seen him in the weight room, if you've seen him play football, And Taylor, I think you would agree, Whit Weeks deserved to be on the All-Meathead team.
Yeah, he does. You know, I go do the player interviews during football season, and last year I came back and I was like, guys, if y'all talk to Whit Weeks, like by far the funnest person. Country is the turnip green. I mean, it don't get no better than Whit Weeks.
All right, a couple of other players that I think LSU fans would know. You got Luther Burden, the third from Missouri. We got McMillan from Arizona also as a receiver, Horton from Colorado State as a receiver. And you could be like, wait a minute, why are they on the All-Meathead team? Well, talking to their coaches, talking with Eli Drinkwitz and talking about who Luther Burden is as a player, watching film as well. Like, Luther Burden without the ball is just as active as he is with the ball, and, like, that goes a long way with me. And also, like we mentioned, like, there's some transfers on this list because it's college football. It's like you almost can't make a list of 30 players and not have transfers. But Luther Burden, McMillan, they decided to stay where they're at. Now, Luther Burden, after his freshman year, he could have gone anywhere in the country and gotten a big payday, and last year he could have done the same, but he wanted to stay at Missouri. Now, Missouri is a better football team than they were when he first got there, so that changes it as well, but he's been loyal to that program. Also, same thing for McMillan at Arizona, very easily. Like, Fafita could have left as well, the quarterback. Their coach leaves, goes to Washington. They don't leave. They stay. They're going to be there for Coach Brennan in the fall. So that goes a long way. And also, again, like watching their tape, receivers that do as much without the ball as they do with the ball, you're always going to find yourself on a list like this. Another LSU kind of tie here, Landon Jackson, who was an LSU guy, didn't play when he was here. He was only on like the punt team. But Taylor, this is somebody that has kind of under the radar become a really good player in the SEC. He's Arkansas's best defensive player. Arkansas's not a good team, but Landon Jackson's turned into a really good player.
He can get after the passer with the best of them. I mean, you talked about his production there at Arkansas. He come to LSU, and I mean, he was 6'7", 270. I mean, everybody was excited about him. Had an unfortunate knee injury, never was able to make it on the field. But, yeah, he's been a mauler over there at Arkansas.
Some other names, you got Xavier Watts at Notre Dame at DB. You got Sebastian Castro at Iowa as a DB. Of course, you have to have an Iowa DB on the list. You've got Takaro Davis from Arizona, who is on this list. But a player that Taylor and I want to highlight here is Jason Henderson, Old Dominion linebacker. You're not going to know who he is. I get that. I understand that. He is going to find his way on a roster in the NFL. He's going to be a Sunday player in some capacity, I think, for a long time. It might be as a special teams war daddy. But Jason Henderson is a player that all he does is rack up double-digit tackles every single game, Taylor.
Yeah, so he had 167 tackles a year ago. That was good for second in the country. Everyone knows about Higgins at Iowa. He played one less game than Higgins and had 2 less tackles. He had 4.5 sacks from the linebacker position, double-digit tackles for a loss, multiple years. And, I mean, he had 179 tackles in 2022. I mean, this is a guy that's had close to 400 the last 2 years combined. He flies around to the football. A lot of people are going to be highlighting this dude on the new NCAA game, Jake, because he's going to have that little star around him underneath his player, and he flies to the football.
Wait, do we know that? Are they going to have the star? Right?
They better have the star.
They got to have the star. They have to have the star. Max Bredesen from Michigan, of course, fullback. Wears number 44. Actually gets out there. 21, 22 personnel from Michigan. Of course, he finds himself on this list. Colson Loveland, the tight end from Michigan, because he's probably going to play as much as any tight end in the country. Made a big play in that national championship game, if you'll remember, a year ago in Houston. Luke Lachey, you can't have an all-Meathead team without an Iowa tight end. Hopefully he can stay healthy this year. Penny Boone is a running back on this list, and I know Penny Boone is at UCF now, but I put Toledo because I learned of Penny Boone watching Tuesday Night Maction, okay? And every time I turned on Tuesday Night Maction, he was running the rock for Toledo. He's been, I think he's actually 3 different places now, but the Big 12 needs to get ready for Penny Boone. He is a large human being. He's a hell of a running back, and so I'm excited to see what he can do at UCF. Just continued to just maul people in the run game every time that I watched him. We'll see if that can translate to the Big 12 in his new landing spot. And finally, the quarterback. For the second year in a row, it's going to be Cam Rising. Yes, because of the way he looks. I mean, he's got a fantastic mullet. He's got fantastic facial hair. And I know he missed all of last year. And some people push back on Cam Rising because he missed last year. A lot of people are like, wait, wasn't he healthy? Turns out he was not healthy, wasn't ready to go. He did not recover from the knee injury that he had. And he just plays like a meathead. And I love the way that he plays. Now, it would probably behoove him and Utah if he didn't play like a meathead, but that's who he is. He's not going to slide. He needs to learn how to slide, but I don't think he's going to. Cam Rising's back for his 7th year of college football. He started at Texas. He's now at Utah. Again, if there was ever going to be a quarterback for the all-meathead team, until he graduates, when that day finally comes, he's probably graduated. He's probably like 3 degrees by this point, but by the time he uses all of his eligibility, if he's eligible to be out there, he's probably going to be on the all-meathead team. So Cam Rising gets the nod at quarterback on the all-meathead radio team. All right, so as I said, Bobby Carpenter, the general, Big Ten Bob himself, is my partner in crime over on Off Campus. That is where we came up with this list. So we'll talk about some of the players on this list. Also kind of get a breakdown of what to expect in the Big Ten. Obviously, Bobby starred at Ohio State. Is it going to be the Buckeyes? Is it going to be the Oregon Ducks? Is it going to be one of, the other new teams in the Big Ten? Is it finally the year that Penn State can make a college football playoff? Because they've been talking about if there was an expanded playoff, we would make it every year. Well, we're going to find out this year. Is Michigan, with only 35% returning production, going to be able to replicate what they've done over the last couple of years? We'll find out when Big Ten Bobby Carpenter joins us here on OTB.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
Or go to centralplumbing.org. Centralplumbing.org. T-Bob is out of town, so you don't have to worry about them being taken up by his services because of Sloppy Joe Night. 225-925-8552 is that number. 24/7, 365. Game day, weekend, holiday. Does not matter. When you call, they will be there over at Central Plumbing. Now, Central, we all know Central Louisiana, right? That's not talking about just the city of Central. We're talking about Baton Rouge. We're talking about the entire surrounding area here in the capital city. Like, they can come, they can help you. And so don't think that because the name Central Plumbing is there that they can't help you in Baton Rouge and St. Gabriel and Prairieville, all these other places. They can certainly come out and help you in any situation. Now, you go to the website, centralplumbing.org, to see what they can also do for you in the remodel game at your home or your business. They can come in, they can completely redo your space. That's centralplumbing.org.
Get the 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge app powered by Bayou Ford and tap the microphone icon to send us your thoughts in an audio message. Your message could be played on air during Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob, The Hunt Palmer Show, and after further review with Matt Moscone.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Hey, it's Matt Moscone. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Farming is a way of life for us. It's not something we get up in the morning and dread going do. It's just something we go to bed at night looking forward to getting up to go do. John Deere equipment is what we as farmers strive to have. It's in your blood, it's in your veins. It's just a part of who you are. Green is what we want to be in. The other tractors were acquired to patch it up to get to where you want to be. Where we want to be is in John Deere. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 7.
Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Thursday's AFR. LSU safety Jordan Gilbert in studio with us, and it's decision day for elite offensive lineman Carius Kern. Will he pick the Tigers? We'll know, and we'll talk about it. 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Yeah. Excuse me. Hi, my name is Bob and I work at my job. I make $40-something a day. I used to be the man in my
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
Now I got a problem with that little white Roxy. I can't put down the pipe, and it is breaking me down. Watching the world spin round while my dreams fall down. Is anybody out there? It is breaking me down. No more friends around.
All right, welcome back in. OTB here on a Thursday morning. Go to Columbus, Ohio now. Be joined by the General, Big Ten Bob himself, Bobby Carpenter. Bob, what's up, sir? How you doing?
I'm doing well, Jake. How are you doing this morning?
I'd say strong to quite strong. You know, just here solo dolo because our guy, T-Bob Abear, stop me if you've heard this before, is in Cabo.
Cabo, listen, man, I thought my man's like grinding. Over here, you talk about the relentless worker, and now I'm hearing more like the relentless vacationer. You know, I mean, you're the grinder, you're the man of grit, all of these things. I assumed your co-host, he encompassed all those same principles, and now you're telling me that this is a guy that just loves to hang out on vacation and chill and live the life that all of us dream of.
Yeah, I think you might have actually been teammates with this guy in New England. He's going to Stephen Ridley's wedding, former LSU running back. Did y'all cross paths in New England?
I did. Rid's a great dude, man. I really enjoyed Stephen a lot. One of my favorites. Did you not get invited? I mean, I thought that was a pretty tight brotherhood. The LSU running back crew.
Yeah, no,
is that not accurate then?
No, it's I got invited. But here's the thing: I got 5 children. Harlow actually turns 1 on Saturday, so I didn't feel like saying Harlow, we love you. You're our first daughter, and we've had 4 boys, and we finally get this daughter, but. Hey, I got to go to this wedding in Cabo real quick, and your first birthday, we're just going to delay that a little bit. That didn't really play.
Well, here's the thing. So I do know this. She will not remember her first birthday or know the day nor the hour when it's going to actually transpire. So I think that you would have been fine to deal with that and probably slide on out, and she would have been good with it. Like her birthday to you or to her is when you celebrate it, and as long as your boys tell her in 10 years.
But that's the problem.
She'll think she's the most important. Yeah, I mean, you got to be on the team. So
Bob, you've got a lot of kids as well. Like, exactly how this works out. Like, one day when they're arguing, when she's like 6 years old, they're like, hey, Mom and Dad, when your first birthday, they actually tricked you. They were in Cabo at a wedding, and they didn't have your birthday until like a week later.
Yeah, but hey, the cake was still good. The pictures were still good. The problem is now, I'll tell you this, Hester, that everything is like timestamped. And so back in the day, you take a picture like hey, the picture's when you tell them the picture was taken. Now you take that picture with your phone. It's like, hey, you know, Dad, this is 10 days later when we're pulling this stuff up. Why was that not it? Oh, well, you know, your mom sent it to me then.
Yeah.
We're trying to make up some other excuse, and you know that's not going to fly. But that's true. I don't know, Hester. Like, dude, Stephen Ridley, that's your guy, man. I mean, LSU running back's ready to roll.
Yeah, I know. Thanks for making me feel bad about it, and also not being in Cabo at the same time. You're golfing today? Is that what you said? It's not very Meathead of you, by the way, to go to all these golf events that you've gone to over the last couple of days and weeks.
If you watch me play golf, you'd know that I was a Meathead, though, based upon how I play. I mean, I'm not Scotty Scheffler out there by any stretch. I'm more along the lines like Charles Barkley, trying to bang the ball. So it's not good golf. It's just a lot of golf. So what you lack in ability, can you make up for in quantity? Like, I'm not sure if that's how this is supposed to work.
Yeah.
I'll try my best. I mean, I promise to do as much as I can, but yeah, I mean, I don't have a lot of great golf ability. I'm just going to go out there, pack away. I'm really there, Hester, for like what we're doing now.
Yeah.
I'm going to provide some nice anecdotes, some stories, some jokes, hit a couple of good shots. People will kind of clap a little bit. That'll be nice. But outside of that, like, if you're relying on me to be like in a foursome, to be anywhere near the top two players, then that's destined for failure. I mean, you got to know what you're getting right here. Know your team, and that's not what I'm here for.
Yeah, it's going to be awkward after you said foursome when I ask you this question, but I know you shirt on or shirt off?
Well, the problem is the courses that we're playing, I don't know if they would let me back on if it was a shirt off situation. Like that's the problem.
They put the general in a collar shirt?
Oh yeah, I've got a collar shirt on. Like this is not. I'm not proud of it. Believe me, I would like to do a cutoff, Hester. Like a cutoff polo would be probably ideal, so we can still sun the guns. And you're keeping the business up top. It's kind of like the cutoff polo is kind of like the mullet of shirts.
Yeah.
You know, it's living in both realms.
Yeah.
But I can't. Like some of these places, I would embarrass the people that invited me to be there. And so they asked me to come. I'm not providing them good golf. At least I can provide them adequate decor when I show up.
That's fair. Bobby, right before you came on, we actually laid out, since the Feel Still magazine has kind of been released and people are starting to get it now, we released the All Meathead team here on this show. And I was waxing poetically about Cam Rising always being QB1 on the All Meathead team as long as he has eligibility. And he's had a lot of it, 7 years now. He's always going to be QB1. Would you like to maybe explain why we came to the decision the last 2 years to put Cam Rising as QB1 on the All Meathead team?
Yeah, I think it's a pretty simple answer. I mean, Hester, you know a bunch of quarterbacks. I know Flinter's your boy. I mean, you play with a lot of guys. Like, I don't know too many quarterbacks. And by too many, I mean, I'm struggling to find one that when given the opportunity between just a normal field yard, not like 3rd and 8 and it's you're 7 yards in and you need that final yard, not a goal line yard. I'm talking a random, 1st and 10, play action, get pressure, pull it down. And the difference between picking up 5 and 6. And instead of sliding or running out of bounds, our guy Cam Rising, or even like maybe even a move, he tries to like lower the shoulder and run guys over.
Yeah.
And I mean, I can't think of anything else that would encompass more of a meathead. Like you would expect, like a running back to do that, and maybe like a guy like Gronk, a big wide receiver even. But when you're talking about a guy who makes a living throwing the ball, very rarely do they use their shoulders as a battering ram. They like to use them more like a catapult and try to, get the ball out of there.
Yeah.
So Cam Rising, he has injured himself multiple times doing this. And while his coaches probably like shudder at the fact that that's how he plays, and instead of sometimes, Hester, we watched him one time, he had like a clear 3 yards and out of bounds. He would have been fine. But instead, like, no way, I'm Walter Payton. I'm never going out of bounds. I'm turning, looking him up. And yeah, that's what he's bringing to the table. So for no other reason at all, he's got to be that guy, because I don't know anyone who can throw the ball as proficiently as he can, but also tries to play the game like a running back.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. I think like the only things you can count on the first 2 years that we've done this is Cam Rising being the quarterback and having an Iowa tight end and defensive back as well. Like those are 3 things that you can pretty much count on every single year, at least until Cam Rising finally uses all of his eligibility.
Yeah, that's the problem. When he's done, we're going to have to really start scouring around to find, like, is there a triple option quarterback out there? Is there, someone who's like Tim Tebow-esque that's willing to kind of run through guys, more of a short yardage guy? There's guys that are going to be out there, but we're going to have to do Hester, basically, he's like you getting 1 point for putting your name at the top of the paper.
Yeah.
That's a free, you're getting a free answer right there.
Yeah, that's a great way to say that. All right, Bobby, we're catching up with our guy, Bobby Carpenter, here on Off the Bench. I want to talk a little Buckeyes, Big Ten, while we have you here before you go out to the golf course. We talked a lot about Oregon over the last couple of days. Think they're the real, challenger to the Buckeyes. You got anybody else? Are you believing maybe in James Franklin and Penn State? Michigan only returning 35%. I love this stat of the returning production. Can they get back into the fold? Like, where are you at right now with contenders outside of your Buckeyes in the Big Ten?
So it's amazing. I don't know. Do you guys do off the bench? Do you do like fan polls in the morning?
You know what? We're probably supposed to do more of those, but sometimes we do. Yeah, sometimes.
Okay, I know that we do them often and off campus. We'll put together stuff.
Yeah, we do.
Throw things out there. Yeah, get some listener interaction. And our poll this morning for our show in Columbus, our fan poll, it was which margin of victory, or which margin will be the tightest, scoring margin will be the tightest for Ohio State this season, at Oregon, at Penn State, Michigan at home. And it was like, we put it up at 6:30, 7 o'clock, and when we left it was 9 Eastern, and it was overwhelmingly like 87% Oregon. So I think that there's a feel there that when you go and look at the Vegas odds, whatever sportsbook you're going to look at, it's like kind of Ohio State and Oregon have been clustered, or Ohio State and Georgia have kind of been clustered together. Anywhere from plus 300 to plus 350 between the two of them. A little bit of a gap, and then you have like Georgia and Texas at like plus 450, 500, 600, somewhere in there, and then like a little gap, like a gap to the next group. So I think everybody's kind of looked at that and logically assumed, like, hey, Oregon, they've got a really good coach in Dan Lanning. He's built a Pac-12 team like the SEC, which now they're in the Big Ten. They have a number of returning guys. They brought in some good transfers, defensive line, corner, did everything they needed to do there. And then also, despite the fact that they lost a first-round quarterback, you get Dylan Gabriel to come up there from Oklahoma and ultimately play, a guy who's won a lot of games, played a lot of games, and you feel confident about it. So, Michigan, like you said, they're only returning 35% of their production, and they've got a first-time head coach in Sharon Moore, which, granted, we watched him win 6 games last year. He was very effective coaching those. However, as you and I kind of talk about, there's a lot more to being a head coach than just the in-game decisions. A lot of it, recruiting is another huge piece, which he seems to be doing pretty well at. But then just the general administration of the organization and the team throughout the whole year, which there's a learning curve to it. It's not the easiest thing in the world. It's very difficult, especially a big program. So I think you factor all that in, breaking in a new quarterback. Yeah, they may have have some hurdles. And then Penn State, I think James Franklin, his inability to win the big game, especially against Ohio State, has been tested over the course of years. Drew Aller, a lot's going to depend on his development and how good he is. And then their wide receivers aren't the greatest. And I think that's something that people look at. They've got a lot of other talented players, and they're going to be a top 10, top 12 team. It would be a disappointment if Penn State didn't make the CFP this year for them. A pretty large disappointment. But I think everyone just looks at Oregon and what they had and how close they were last year to potentially, beating Washington and then getting in the CFP.
All right, Bobby, we're going to leave you with 2 questions, and let's go with this one first. What are you going to shoot today in your little golf tournament that you're playing in wearing a collared shirt?
Well, it's going to be a scramble because that's about all I play, so I never play my own ball throughout. If we do, we're playing mine more like that. We're in trouble. But my goal always, let's say, the par 72, hopefully in a scramble, you're shooting in the mid to low 60s, like 10 under, somewhere in there. Say if it's 62 shots, if they take between 6 to 10 of my shots, just somewhere between like 10 and 20%, 6 to 12, I go, that's a win. Like, I'm feeling good about that. We take any more, either I'm on the biggest heater I've ever been on, or it's the worst foursome that I've been a part of.
All right. Next question, last one before we let you go. You mentioned Gronk a little bit earlier. I know you were just with Gronk at Tom Brady's retirement or jersey retirement ceremony there in New England. Now, T-Bob is expecting Gronk to be at this wedding down in Cabo. And T-Bob really wants to hang out with Gronk. Now, T-Bob had a chance to hang out with Theo Vaughn and Drewski a little bit earlier this year, and he didn't love the way that it went. Will T-Bob have a good time with Gronk, and will Gronk enjoy T-Bob's company?
I think Gronk will enjoy T-Bob's company. I think as long as he embraces his inner father, he'll be good. But he's going to have to go full, like, southeastern Louisiana, leaning all in on it. This can't be some kid that grew up in suburban Atlanta. Gronk wants people, he wants the wildlings to come out, man. He wants it to get crazy. And so, yes, T-Bob's got in him, but, I mean, he better be a lot more Bobby than T-Bob.
Okay, a lot more Bobby, less T-Bob. I actually like where your head's at. Bobby, appreciate you as always, brother. Enjoy the golf tournament today, and we'll catch up soon.
Anytime, Jake. Great to talk to you, sir.
All right, there he is, the General. Big Ten Bobby Carpenter. Always a pleasure to catch up with my guy. I can't imagine a couple of things. One, him actually wearing a collared shirt and playing golf. If you know Bobby, I mean, great college football player, first-round pick of the Cowboys, works out. Like, I'll give you an example. For his 40th birthday, he went out and he ran Ohio State's conditioning test just to prove to himself that he could still do it because he is that much of a meathead. So him playing golf is actually pretty funny. And then I think he's right. Like if T-Bob wants to endear himself to Gronk, more Bobby, less T-Bob. And we love T-Bob. But again, if you want to enjoy Gronk's company, I think he would enjoy the Cajun Cannon's company. Just feels like those two spirits would align together. So maybe that's the equation that T-Bob's got to use here for this hang. We'll see. All right, we will step away, and when we come back, we'll get back into the SEC with Chris Lowe. ESPN.com joins us here on OTB.
Off the bench with Hester and T-Bob.
Hey, go to All-Star Toyota of Baton Rouge.com. Speaking of vacations, took a lot of vacations here on this show between T-Bob and Taylor. If you're going on a vacation, you should rent a Toyota from All-Star Toyota. Everything's available, right? If you need a truck, multiple options. If you need a midsize SUV, multiple options. If you need a full-size SUV, van, hybrid, whatever, well, you can get that done because everything that you see available as far as a new vehicle or a vehicle that you can lease is also available in the rental department. Again, you don't find that anywhere else, but you'll find it over at All-Star. Call Miss Lisa Sessions today in that rental department to get that scheduled and reserved. But also, like, why would you not go check out the new vehicles and the leases? I've taken advantage of leasing a Toyota from All-Star. It's been an incredible process, very easy. If you want to buy new right now, I got new models on the lot. Sienna minivan, Murdered Out Mini, you can have that as well. Custom as custom can be. All-Star Toyota of Baton Rouge.com.
Our listeners fire up their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $20,000 off new 23 Ram 1500 trucks. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $20,000 off the powerful Ram truck. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Brack, your #1 park system in the nation.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Thursday edition of Live at Lunch, live at the original Walk-Ons on Burbank. We're loaded down with guests, getting you ready for the weekend. 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., Live at Lunch, live at Walk-Ons on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
All right, welcome back in. OTB here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. We have some fantastic T-Bob and Gronk comments that we'll get to in the chat here coming up. But first, let's get to my guy, Chris Lowe, ESPN. C-Lo joins us now to talk some LSU and SEC. C-Lo, what's going on, man? Always a pleasure.
It's always great, Jake, man. It's when I talk to you in the summer, it means football's getting closer.
Yes, sir. It absolutely does. And you know what? I was down in Destin. I was thinking about you because I was down in Destin, SEC spring meetings, and me and Doring and Burns, we're all sitting there, and we get a chance to interview all the coaches. And, like, all at the same time, we kind of looked at each other, and we're like, it's weird that Coach Saban's not here. Like, it feels like Coach Saban is not here. Like, you have a great relationship with Coach Saban. I mean, you're the guy that, broke the news that he was retiring. Has that set in for you, knowing him like you do, that he's not going to be on a sideline this year?
A little bit. It probably won't for sure until the season starts. When I went back to campus this spring to talk to Coach DeBoer and to go in that office, that was pretty surreal for the first time. Nick not being there and Kevin being in that office, it was sort of barren and all Nick stuff was going, and then go to the spring game and you don't see Nick out there on the practice field. But I think with the game start, Jake, and he's not on the sideline, that will be probably a little bit odd for everybody. I know in talking to Kirby Smart this spring, Kirby said it. He says, I think for all of us who compete against him, certainly those who coached under him, he's just been such a staple in the game. Now, lots of times you're banging your head in the wall because you're having to go against him. And even Kirby, guy as good as he is, didn't have much success against him. So I do think, though, when you look at it from a different perspective, I think it opens up things for teams. And not that they won every game over the last 3 years, because Georgia's won 2 of the last 3 titles. But still, not having Nick Saban on the sideline, and you haven't played for the guy, know what he means, just having how many points it means to have him on your sideline every game.
Are you surprised, like, Kalen DeBoer has been very, welcoming to Coach Saban? I guess not surprised, but, he's making sure that Coach Saban knows that, hey, we want you involved. We want you around. We want you to be a part of this in any way that you want to. that's not typical head coach, procedure. Like, you don't have to do that. I think head coaches, and I think you have to have this, like they all have egos, right? And Kalen DeBoer is like, no, we want Nick Saban around. Did that surprise you in any way?
No, I think Kalen's very secure in his own skin. I really do. And I think he's genuine. Anybody who's spent some time around him or covered him or played for him would tell you the same thing, that he's completely confident in what his ability to coach that team, his system, the way he goes about it. So I think he understands that having a guy like Saban, who's been such a part of that program forever, is only going to help him. I think here's the other part of it, Jake. You played for Nick. Nick's not the kind of guy who's going to be, patrolling through the complex, walking into film rooms, poking over people's shoulders. That's the last thing he's going to do, because he hated the thought of that happening to him. That's just not who he is. And I think that's another reason for this is Kalen knows he's there. He knows he's a resource if he needs him. But he's also not going to be there sort of just perennially looking over his shoulder.
Also, you mentioned Kirby Smart there. One thing in Destin that was pretty funny, we were interviewing Lane Kiffin, and we were asking him, like, hey, Coach Saban, you obviously are very close. He's not there. Like, who's maybe the voice in those meetings? And he quickly, he laughed and said, it's Kirby. So, like, Kirby Smart feels like now he's kind of the leader of the coaches in the SEC to some extent because of the national championships, and that's kind of just Kirby's personality.
Well, yeah, and Kirby's going to be one of those guys. In the public, Kirby's always pretty measured about what he says. He'll say something if he thinks it needs to be said. But in those meeting rooms with the people who matter, the decision makers, he's going to be pretty demonstrative. He is going to speak his mind. And so I think the fact that he's had success, he's coached in the SEC forever. The guy's been there, for more than 2 decades in some shape, form, or fashion as a coach. He played in the SEC. He understands that league. I think people do listen to him because they know that he understands, from a football-centric point, what you need. And I think that's it's funny you mentioned Kirby, and you mentioned Lane. I think Lane is the third most tenured coach behind Kirby. Stoops would be, I guess, the most tenured in Kirby. And then you have Lane and I guess Drinkowitz and Pittman. So it's one of those leagues, as you know, man, the old adage, not for long. There's just not a lot of guys hang around very long in the SEC as head football coach.
Catching up with our guy, Chris Lowe, ESPN here on Off the Bench. Certainly want to ask you about LSU. It's a team that I think every single year is going to have playoff aspirations since you expand it to 12. You've got a lot of new there for the Tigers as far as players, and Garrett Nussmeier taking over for Jaden Daniels. You've got a completely new defensive staff. Right now, as we sit here at the end of June, what's your expectation for the LSU Tigers heading into this 2024 season?
Well, I'd say first, it's pretty obvious Brian Kelly's not messing around.
Yeah.
To overhaul his staff the way he did on defense. A lot of coaches, even though they were bad on defense last year, they don't necessarily completely gut the defensive staff. He did that. He brought in guys who are proven, guys who understand that program. And Bo Davis is as respected a defensive line coach as there is in football. You look at what Blake Baker did at Missouri, the way that defense improved. Corey Raymond is LSU. But I think, you still, it tells you that Brian believes deeply in having coaches who have experience and have gotten it done in the past, but you still got to have players. I think it's that same question mark, Jake. Can they cover the pass? Can they? And it's not just the guys in the back end. Can they get the kind of pressure they need to not allow teams to just carve them apart back there? For all the criticism of their inability to cover the pass last year, they gave up a lot of explosive plays in the run game on defense. So they just got to be better. I do think a guy like Perkins, I think they'll use him better. I think they'll use him smarter. I think he'll be back to what we saw him be a couple of years ago. But here's the thing about LSU, is they're good up front in the offensive line. I think you go back and look at teams in the SEC over the last few years who competed for an SEC title. You never ever see a team that's below average or even average in the offensive line that has a chance to win. And this team, probably the best pair of tackles, at least among the best pair of tackles in college football. You got a starter quarterback. You mentioned Nussmeier, who's going to be sort of, first-time true starter. But you have a couple other situations among what I would call bubble teams in the league as far as the playoff in that same situation. You got Jackson Hall at Oklahoma. You've got Nico Iamaleava at Tennessee. They will be taking over for the first time. So I think how they play around the quarterback, guys that are going to be starting for the first time, to me is as important as how the quarterback plays. But clearly, Metzler, when he's gotten chances, has shown the ability. I still think that it gets down to can they stop people consistently and not have to score 38, 40, 42 points every game to win. Man, that's a tough way to make a living in the SEC.
That it is, CeeLo, and we saw that last year, number one offense in the country, and it felt like you needed every bit of the number one offense in the country to win 10 games like LSU did. And I like the way you kind of phrase that with Tennessee and LSU maybe kind of being in the same group. That's the way that we've put it here on this show as well. Like, are you in the belief that it's Georgia, Texas, like in tier number one, and then there's like a whole bunch of teams like in tier number two? Where are you at right now as far as the hierarchy of the SEC going into the season?
You know, I had a chance to visit both those places this morning. I went to Texas, I went to Georgia, and also went to Oklahoma. I think Texas and Georgia are the two most talented teams in the league. I really do. I think when it comes to depth, quality depth, it's so important to get guys hurt, to get later in the season. I mean, think about it. If you win a title this year, Jake, you may have to play 17 games.
Yeah.
Or 16. I mean, that's a ton of football games to play. And rarely do you make it through playing if you're just only 5 offensive line. I mean, you've got to have guys in the secondary that step in when people pull hamstrings and stuff like that. So quality depth, I think those two are at the top when it comes to that category. This is Lane's best roster that he's had at Ole Miss by far. And they've got a quarterback in Jackson Dart who's going to be starting his 3rd year as a starter. Yeah. And I think that experience is invaluable. But how do they handle? How does Ole Miss handle being a team that everybody's talking about, a top 10 team going into the season? That's new ground for them. You know, so I would put them there in that next tier. And I certainly wouldn't forget about Alabama. They've got a kid, I think, in Jalen Milroe, who will blossom with that new offensive staff. And I think their offensive line, too, has a chance to be really, really good. So those would probably be my top 4 teams. But then you got bubble teams. You know, you got Missouri, you got Tennessee, you got LSU, you got Oklahoma, that I all think have a chance to maybe play their way in. And maybe the dark horse is Texas A&M and Mike Elko's first year. But the one thing I would add, too, before we go, is schedules. Got to look at schedules.
Yeah.
And people always ask, well, how do you think this is? To me, the most manageable schedule in the league is Missouri's. When you look across the league, they've got the most, I wouldn't say it's easy, but it's the most manageable. And I'd say right behind them is Ole Miss, and Texas' schedule is not that bad. Here's why I like LSU's schedule. I think their hardest games, Jake, inside the league come at home.
Yeah.
And anytime you can play those tough teams at Tiger Stadium, that's a big advantage.
All right, last one before we let you go, CeeLo. Billy Napier, Florida Gators. Speaking of schedules, brutal schedule. Certainly the last 5 games of the season. I mean, you're playing all the teams in the state of Florida, so, like, you're going to get their best shot. Like, I just can't see a way. Even though I think Florida will be improved on the field, I can't really see a path for them to even get to 8 wins. And if they don't get to 8 wins, like, what does the future look like for Billy Napier?
Well, I'll start with the schedule. It's the hardest schedule I've seen since I've been covering the league. Now, that's in August. You know, schedules change once you get to October and November, but I've never seen one going into the season that looks this daunting. I do think they'll be better. I think they'll be better than a lot of people think they will. I think Mertz at quarterback is very underrated, and they brought in some guys I think that will help them in the transfer portal. But, you know, I just don't see a path that they're a team in late October or early November that they have a chance to make the playoff. But that said, I wouldn't be just shocked if they somehow got to 7 or playing for 8 wins and maybe have a chance, you know, to have a winning season, go to a bowl. I really think with that schedule, even though they have not been good the last few years, if he can somehow carve out a winning season, let's say they're 7-5, I think they'll be patient with it. Now, if it's a losing season again and they're losing to everybody that counts and they don't show a lot of progress, then yes, he's going to have a hard time keeping his job.
All right, there he is, Chris Lowe, ESPN. Does a great job over there. Catch his latest articles on ESPN.com. CeeLo, we appreciate it. I look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks, SEC Media Days in Dallas.
I'll be there, man. It's great to be with you, Jake, and be weird in a good way to be in a new locale for Media Days in the Big D.
Yeah, no question about it. Look forward to that. Chris Lowe, again, ESPN.com, good enough to join us here on OTB. All right, we will step away here. Going to get to some of your comments inside the Bayou Ford chat about T-Bob and Gronk. There's some gold in there, and we'll end hour number 2 doing that here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
All right, go to CommunitySteelCo.com. CommunitySteelCo.com. Community Steel in Gonzales, Louisiana. They have been there for almost 2 hours already. I know that it's only 8:50 in the morning, but that's who they are. They get there at 7 a.m. every single day. They want you to come by. They want you to come visit them in Gonzales and see what they can do for you. And if you're wondering exactly where it's at in Gonzales, go to CommunitySteelCo.com, top right corner of the website. Click on Community Steel. It's going to pull up a map and show you exactly where they're at. But if you're in our listening area, you can't get to Gonzales, Louisiana, even if you're in North Louisiana listening to us, you can give them a call. Tell them what you need. They can help throughout the state of Louisiana. 225-647-2020 is that number. So give them a call. Let them know what you're looking for. They can help you out. But we encourage you, if you can, go see them in the showroom today. CommunitySteelCo.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Bayou Ford has $10,000 off F-150. $10,000 off the new 2024 Ford F-150. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Farming is a way of life for us. It's not something we get up in the morning and dread going do. It's just something we go to bed at night looking forward to getting up to go do. John Deere equipment is what we as farmers strive to have. So it's in your blood, it's in your veins. It's just a part of who you are. Green is what we want to be in. The other tractors were acquired to patch it up to get to where you want to be. Where we want to be is in John Deere. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction.
Join me for a Thursday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, presented by Rouse's, the latest from the College World Series baseball transfer portal. And Luke Johnson talking Saints. Hunt Palmer Show 1 to 3 weekdays, 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
From Daniel Basham inside the Bayou 4 chat, will T-Bob be able to hold back the miniature painting talk around Gronk?
I don't think so, no.
Yeah, because he's going to be too self-conscious around him. I think T-Bob's going to be in his shell a little bit more because I think he's going to be nervous.
That's kind of fair, actually.
What was the murdered out mini one that you were talking about?
Brennan Huff said T-Bob showing Gronk pictures. Gronk, check it out. I call it the murdered out mini. What do you drive?
So Gronk, hear me out. Time was running down, so I just said F it and snapped the ball. We thought we lost, but actually we had another play, then we won. I was basically the hero. Will that story come up? I don't think so. T-Bob's not going to talk football with Gronk.
Yeah.
No.
He's just going to try to get him to, like, smash a shot glass again. Gronk, it was Teos de Brazil in 2011, and I decided to offer the patrons my Brazilian sausage. T-Bob after his 13th ranch water.
Gronk's going to have to make the first move in this one, though. I think T-Bob's going to be a little bit shy.
And so, T-Bob, if you're listening, which I know you're absolutely not even close to, just be yourself. You're good enough, you're funny, and dadgummit, people like you. Hour number 3 coming up.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
All right, go to AccuTempBR.com, AccuTempBR.com. Today, schedule your appointment because, well, I mean, I know this week we got a little bit of relief from the heat because of the rain, but we all know what it is. I mean, that heat is going to be right back on our backs here coming up very soon. It's South Louisiana. It is what it is. So you got to make sure that your AC is working and it's working at its peak performance because you're going to have to, use this thing overtime. We all know that. So even if you don't have an issue, like make sure you're doing the proper maintenance for your AC unit so it doesn't go out on you. Then you have a situation where you're without your AC for a couple of days. Make sure that you're doing that maintenance. Be a part of that STAR membership program. AccuTemp offers like T-Bob and I. You can learn that information. Schedule an appointment on their website, top right corner of the site, AccuTempBR.com.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Oshner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Oshner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck. your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Good morning. It's 9 a.m. here on Thursday, June 20th. Today in Baton Rouge, expect mostly sunny skies with a high of 93. In hour 3 of today's show, we'll have the NFL story of the day at 9 a.m. and then our Munchie segment with LSU executive chef Michael Johnson. If you missed hours 1 or 2 of the show, you can catch it in the on-demand section at 1045ESPN.com. You can also follow us on Twitter or Instagram at OTB_ESPN and watch us on YouTube at the 1045 ESPN channel. Hour number 3 of Off the Bench, live from the Mercedes-Benz Baton Rouge studios, starts now.
Let we go! All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert.
Yeah!
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
Hey, they said I got to come off the bench.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. Yo, yo, yo.
I can't stop reading some of these comments about, potential Gronk and T-Bob conversations. Will hand size come up? I mean, Gronk has gigantic hands, I have to assume. I don't know that to be factual. It's public information. We can probably look it up. I don't think he's going to be a 9-inch king.
He's probably bigger than 9 inches.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if he's quite 11 like your boy here, but I don't know he's a 9-inch king.
I can see Gronk being somewhere like 10 and a half.
Hand span 10 3/4.
There you go. Yeah, that's a big hand.
It's a big hand.
It's a big hand. It's going to swallow T-Bob's little tiny mid up. I hope that doesn't intimidate him. I hope it doesn't start the miniature talk.
Yeah. Right?
What if Gronk's just like really into painting miniatures?
Right. He's like, hey, are you into Bretonian miniatures? And T-Bob's like, what?
Oh, my God. T-Bob he would go from 6 to midnight so quick. Oh, my gosh. Okay. All right. We got to focus here because it is now time for the Tay-Tay story of the day.
It's time for Tay-Tay's NFL Story of the Day. Your daily dose of NFL news from Taylor Sharp.
All right, Jake. On Tuesday, ESPN's Seth Walder, he distributed the offseason grades. Like, put them out for ESPN, whether it's drafting, free agent signings, losing people in free agency, like how you did overall. And coming in at number 30 in the league, the Dallas Cowboys with a D+ grade. Now, everyone's about to start making fun of me, and rightfully so. The only 2 teams behind the Dallas Cowboys, the Las Vegas Raiders and the New Orleans Saints.
Ooh.
Those are the bottom 3 teams in the league. And when you look at it, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, he notes for the Saints, like, the offensive line's still too much of a question. I mean, he talks about Fuaga, but they didn't bring in a ton of big-name free agents. They didn't shore up the wide receiver spot like he thought they should have. The safety position, I get all that. Raiders, kind of the same thing. Their offense is a mess. I brought all that up to bring this up to you, though. For the Cowboys, one of them he mentions is not re-signing all the free agents. And I've been there with the Cowboys for quite some time. Like, you're not re-signing any of your guys. You're letting people walk. You still have to re-sign Micah Parsons, CeeDee Lamb, and Dak Prescott. In what order? How many of those guys? That's up for them to decide. But, as I was driving into work today, I was listening to a podcast, and they were talking about, like, is the receiver position overvalued? Because all we talk about all the time is how the running back position is overvalued, but like receivers kind of there. I mean, go look at the top 5 paid, highest paid receivers in the league, and then you go look, when is the last time the highest paid receiver in the league won a Super Bowl that year? It was 2015 with Demaryius Thomas, back when Peyton Manning was on that team. I don't know if these receivers are being overpaid because what do they talk about with running back all the time? You're going to love this. As a runner, they're like, oh, it's so dependent on the offensive line. It's so dependent on the game plan. The receiver's dependent on the offensive line to give the quarterback time to throw the ball and the quarterback in general.
Turn it on him, Tay.
I mean, you go look at what Patrick Mahomes did. Everybody's like, he can't win it without Tyreek Hill. He did. I mean, Tom Brady played with who? I mean, everybody's like, oh, well,
a lot of white receivers.
Edelman and Wes Welker, but like, would they have been
Julian
what they were
Edelman.
without Tom Brady? No. So I kind of think that like this receiver position, I was looking because they mentioned it for the Raiders and the Saints as well. They're like, the Cowboys haven't re-signed CD. The Raiders and the Saints haven't brought in another top tier free agent at wide receiver. I kind of think that the receiver position's getting a little overvalued. And then they were talking about CD Lamb. I mean, part of the Cowboys last year in the playoffs, they keyed in on CD Lamb. Their second receiver last year was Brandon Cooks. He had like 55 catches for 600 yards. I mean, that's a big drop-off from 1 to 2. So if you're going to pay that one guy, I mean, you got to have solid guys behind him, right?
So I think at some point you'll see, okay, and stay with me because right now this probably seems like a crazy conversation. But I think, so where we're at with running back, it's because running backs in college, like think just like 10 years ago, maybe even 8 years ago, like running backs were probably still the most important thing on your team offensively. Like you had Mark Ingram and Leonard Fournette and Derrick Henry and all these marquee running backs that were, you know, a lot of times some of the best players in the country. I mean, we could go away. I mean, obviously you go back and you look at the Heisman trends. That's why only one receiver's ever won it. Like running back was the key position. Well, then you had offenses starting at the high school level, made its way to college, made its way to the NFL, of people that grew up in 7-on-7 and grew up throwing the football and grew up in 11 personnel with 3 receivers on the field, and the running back position kind of went away a little bit. And so now, like, you don't put as much value in the running back position, but you look at how many really good receivers there are out there, you're going to have that number go way up than it was in the 90s and the early 2000s in the NFL, because there's so many players that have now, they've been through the fire. They understand all the nuances of coverages and how to get open and all those things. And so to Taylor's point, I think you're going to have the ability to go out there and compete at a very high level. Now, you're going to have your outliers. You're going to have your Justin Jeffersons and your Jamar Chases and your Tyreek Hills. You're still going to have that. But, like, look at the Saints. Rashid Shaheed, right, from Weber State? Like, he's your number 2 receiver. Like, you're going to have the opportunity to not have to invest as much money in that position because you're going to be able to go out there and find a guy later on in the draft or maybe somebody with some untapped potential, because I just think that offensive football and the philosophy of offensive football has completely changed, and now it favors the receivers. I think they're more ready to play, so you don't have to invest as much. I think that's what you were getting at, into that position.
Yeah, well, and to your point about like high school offenses, college offenses, it's kind of just become like the best athletes are receivers now because they're more passing leagues, right? So like when you're in the NFL, you're like, okay, well, we got to bring in playmakers on offense and pay them. They're all at the receiver position coming into the league. I mean, that's just the spot that they play. But I've always kind of looked at it as like, you're only as good as the quarterback throwing you the ball. I mean, you go look at, that's what made DeAndre Hopkins so great for a number of years. I mean, people talked about him and they were like, hey, he had a different quarterback every single year with the Houston Texans. But, I mean, outside of him, you go look at the receivers. I mean, Devontae Adams is still good.
Yeah.
He's not what he was in Green Bay. He doesn't have Aaron Rodgers. I mean, you go look at these top-flight receivers, they have a Pro Bowl caliber quarterback with them for the majority of their career. Yeah. I just, like, because all offseason I was like, hey, Dallas has to pay CD Lamb. I mean, you know, that's my guy. But I'm looking at it, I'm like, I get it. they're going to bring back Dak Prescott. I've come to terms with that. I don't want him back, but they're going to. And I'm like, if you think that these are the three guys, he might be the last guy that gets paid. Because you got to have the premier pass rusher on defense, especially like a Micah Parsons who can play end and back up at linebacker. You're going to pay the quarterback. I'm like, are we going to see the receiver position kind of fall out of favor in terms of like high dollar? Because, Jefferson, $110 million deal. That's great, but like in a few years, you're going to have to pay Jordan Addison.
Yeah.
If you don't pay Jordan Addison, you're not going to have Jordan Addison. Now, maybe it's one of those things where they're like, hey, we can get an elite guy and then a couple mid-round rookies around them. That'll open everything up, but it's something to look at for the future.
Did we just make running backs great again? I think we did. Maybe not, but we're trying. We are trying our best. All right, anybody get arrested? Anybody die in the NFL that you'd like to tell us about here?
No, I wanted to keep it positive.
Story of the day.
No, we're good.
All right, I'm proud of you. That's the least depressing Tay story of the day that we've had in a very long time.
Yesterday's wasn't depressing. It was just
somebody got arrested.
moving from St. Louis to Kansas. I mean,
I thought it was
Missouri to Kansas. It was the Chiefs and the Royals.
Oh, I thought we hit Isaiah Buggs.
That was.
I thought that was too.
Yeah.
That was Tuesday.
Oh.
You sure?
2 days in a row, guys. Okay.
I guess me saying hitting Isaiah Buggs was bad phrasing, but.
And on that note,
that's what he got arrested for.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, he's been arrested a couple of 3.
4 times since January.
4
They're
times.
out to get him.
Yeah, it's not his fault.
They're out to get it. Oh, because of his vape store.
No, it's a hookah lounge.
Hookah lounge.
Yeah.
Hookah lounge, yeah.
I thought those were like.
They're chill.
Well, yeah, but I also thought like they were done after COVID. Like, are we really going to be?
I know.
I could not tell you the closest hookah lounge to us right now. Don't know.
Well, I mean, me either. If I knew that off the top of my head, I think that would be off brand for me to know that.
No, but like, I don't know where one is.
I don't either. I don't want to know because I'll never visit.
I'm not into
that establishment.
I've been to them, but I'm not into them.
Because all of y'all are wondering, Serbia and Slovenia are actually tied right now, 0-0 in the 53rd minute.
And that's Taylor's team.
In the Euros?
No,
which one?
Slovenia or Slovakia? Okay.
Slovenia.
Oh, okay.
I just randomly picked them the other day.
My team plays today. Spain.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They play Italy. That's going to be actually, that's the, where the time zone that they're in. That's like the primetime match, but that's the late game today, 2 p.m.
Okay.
So
I'll be locked in at 2 p.m.
I'll be locked in on off campus, and I'll be watching it. I hope EJ is ready to bring his takes. All right, we will take a break here, and when we come back, Chef Michael Johnson will be here to answer all of your Munchie questions. So get those Munchie questions inside the Bayou 4 chat, and we'll have Chef answer those when we come back here on OTB.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
All right, go to ColemanRoof.com. ColemanRoof.com is where you can find the contact information for Coleman Roof. Obviously, throughout the state of Louisiana, commercial and residential, they can help you out any major commercial job. I mean, they'll come in. They've done it so many times here in this Baton Rouge area, but they can do it throughout the state of Louisiana. Now, residential, something that they can do for you, like a one-stop shop that you're not going to find many places, is it's also the construction part of what Coleman Roof is going to do. So, as we know, like we've had a lot of rain lately, and I don't know what this hurricane season is going to look like, but if it, does ramp up and let's say the rain continues to pour down and you find out that you have a leak and maybe it was overnight, you didn't know you had it, and then your drywall, your flooring, all that's ruined, well, they can come in at Coleman Roof. They can fix everything. They are a true one-stop shop. Of course, they can fix your roof, the leak there. They can fix the flooring, fix your drywall. They'll have you ready, back up, and ready to go. Again, check out their website, ColemanRoof.com.
Get the 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge app powered by Bayou Ford and tap the microphone icon to send us your thoughts in an audio message. Your message could be played on air during Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob, The Hunt Palmer Show, and after further review with Matt Moscone.
Farming is a way of life for us. It's not something we get up in the morning and dread going do. It's just something we go to bed at night looking forward to getting up to go do. John Deere equipment is what we as farmers strive to have. It's in your blood, it's in your veins. It's just a part of who you are. Green is what we want to be in. The other tractors were acquired to patch it up to get to where you want to be. Where we want to be is in John Deere. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always...
Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Thursday's AFR. LSU safety Jordan Gilbert in studio with us, and it's decision day for elite offensive lineman Carius Kern. Will he pick the Tigers? We'll know, and we'll talk about it. 3-6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
All right, welcome back in. OTB. It is Thursday at 9:15, so you know what that means. Our guy, Chef Michael Johnson, joins us now to answer all your Munchies questions. Chef, we appreciate you hopping on with us. I'm glad somebody could show up to work here on a Thursday morning, Chef. Glad you could be here.
Yeah, I was just thinking to myself, man, we're T-Bob has a lot of days off, man.
And look, he's like, oh God, I mean, you don't take vacation days. Like, that's on you. Like, you're a tough guy. We get it. It's not that. It's like, some of us don't have like the other things in our life where we can just, go off to Cabo for a second time in 2 months. You know what I mean, Chef?
That's funny. Yeah, shoot. I have vacation days. I just don't know. I don't know what it feels like to use them. You know what I mean?
All right, Chef. Well, if you were going to Cabo, as T-Bob often does, twice in 2 months, what would be like your first stop? Like, what would be something you're like, all right, I'm going to Cabo. This is going to be on my plate in front of me very soon.
Striped marlin fishing for sure. Ooh. That's world-class striped marlin fishing in Cabo, and then it's interesting the lay of the underwater structure there. The beach cuts off very deep, very quickly, and they have like great white sharks there. They have all kinds of whales and stuff. Cabo's beautiful, man. It's a great place to visit. It's interesting because they have what you call dynamic pricing in Cabo, so they don't put price tags on anything. And when the cruise ships come in, the prices spike to like 4x.
Yeah.
And then when the cruise ships leave, they go back down to local pricing. And so if you're in Cabo, be wary of when the cruise ships are there, because it gets they say everything in Mexico is cheap,
right?
But it's not cheap when the cruise ships are there. They turn it up to American price.
That makes a lot of sense. That makes a ton of sense, and so that's a nice word of advice there. If you see the cruise ships in Cabo, go the other way until you see them leave. All right. Well, T-Bob's there so often. Again, that's like valuable information for him to know. Hashtag Munchies. Chef, what is your favorite brisket rub blend?
Kosher salt and black pepper, man. And I like a particular grind of black pepper, like an 18 mesh black pepper. I used to use different seasonings, with spices and stuff and smoke. And I even used to put some blend a little bit of mesquite powder in, and it kind of complexes with a pecan or something else. It just builds some complexity in the smoke. But I stopped doing all that. Now I'm just a purist, man. It's kosher salt, black pepper. Let it rest overnight so that it helps form the crust and build the pellicle. And it's not the only way. It's just my way because I like to taste the smoky beef. You know what I mean?
All right. Hashtag Munchies. Best way to cook a lamb roast. Slow cooker. Also, what would you recommend to season it with?
Yeah, so searing it off first. Brown it off first. What you're doing is a braise, right? And slow and low, most certainly. But you want to put it in a hot pan and brown the skin off first. Get the fats and stuff all caramelized, and what we call the Maillard reaction. It's when proteins caramelize and show brown, right? And that only happens in a dry pan. It doesn't happen in a moist heat environment. So you got to do that before. And slow and low, man. As far as seasonings are concerned, I actually like to put cherries in with the juice, in with the roast, right? Garlic cloves, stuff like that. Your normal stuff, but cherries are one thing that I like to put in with my lamb. It kind of brightens the flavor up. Maybe even a couple of orange peels in there. And then before it's done, like carrots and celery and all that stuff too. But before it's done and you thicken up your gravy or your sauce or whatever you want to call it after it's cooked, I like to siphon on some basil in, and it really brings all those flavors together.
Yep. Hashtag Munchies. Would you recommend using avocado oil to fry homemade onion rings and French fries?
Not deep fry, not really. Avocado oil, from what I remember, has a lower smoke point.
Yeah.
Which when you're deep frying something, you're looking for 350. It's something, and even up to 375. Like for an onion ring, you can turn up to 375, and it's going to fry real quick, get golden real quick. And while it's very healthy for you, it doesn't necessarily have a good smoke point on it, and then that's just a dangerous thing, And when it gets too hot and it starts smoking, that's when the oil denatures and start, it loses what it's worth. So I do not suggest doing it.
All right. So we've talked about this before, but I do have like the built-in fast food restaurant style fryers in our house. I mean, we use them all the time. Which oil would you recommend best for that?
It depends on what you're trying to accomplish. If you're looking for flavor and health, canola is what we use.
Okay.
Canola, it has a very nice high temp, and also be wary of where you buy it from because, we buy Canadian canola. A lot of canola comes from overseas, specifically like Russia and Ukraine. And if you're buying Ukrainian canola right now, the Russians are probably having their hands in it. So not to be too terribly political, but we're not trying to support the Russians and what they're doing right now. So we buy Canadian canola. Yeah.
Has it got a syrupy taste to it?
Yeah, it has a good flavor to it.
Sorry, dad joke. Couldn't help it. Okay, that's gonna be your healthiest with a little flavor still. Like if you're not trying to go super healthy, because look, I mean, it's the summertime, and so we're dropping in chicken nuggets and fries in ours all the time for the boys.
Yeah.
And so that's probably the best option for us.
Yeah, if you can find rice oil, it has a really high tolerance for heat. It has a really high smoke point. It's really healthy, but it's super clean oil. In other words, you're you're not going to taste the fatty flavor of rice oil. It's going to be a really neutral flavor, and a lot of people don't like rice oil because it doesn't have that deep fried flavor to it. It's very clean to the palate.
Okay. All right. Good information. Hashtag munchies. Get ready for this one. Love, marry, kill. A microwaved hot dog with white bread as the bun, spaghetti and ketchup, and Vienna sausages. All right. So you got to love one, you got to marry one, and you got to get rid of one.
Oh, God. Love one. Give me the options again.
Okay. So microwaved hot dog with white bread as the bun, spaghetti and ketchup, or Vienna sausages.
Okay. Oh, man. Well, I'll love the hot dog and the white bread. I got to leave one. And
You got to marry one. You got to kill one.
Okay. Well, I'm going to kill the spaghetti and ketchup. That's a travesty. Yeah. So
you're going to marry Vienna sausages. Look, we've all been in a pinch.
You know what? I'll marry the Vienna. I'll marry the hot dog and a bun. Yeah.
I mean, look, Vienna sausages. Say what you will, they don't have the best smell, but if you've ever been fishing on a boat or if you've ever been in a deer stand, I mean, Vienna sausages sometimes will hit.
And for bait as well. They serve as dual purpose.
True.
Fishing.
You just take a bite and just
throw it in. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to curse.
Hey, see, we just move right along. We didn't even hear that. I don't even know what you're talking about. Hashtag munchies. What would be in your tinfoil pack if you were cooking chicken on the grill?
Well, if it's at my house, it's definitely going to be some butter, some garlic, some parsley, maybe a little bit of Worcestershire or soy, or even ponzu, maybe. Kind of that citrusy. I think ponzu sounds good in there. Maybe some cilantro as well. Yeah, and put that all in there. That sounds good today. Yeah.
All right.
Shallots as well. You got to have shallots.
Oh, yeah. I actually like that call. All right. So this one's tough for me to ask because I had a bad experience when I was a youth and I still haven't gotten over it. But, before then, I really enjoyed this. Hashtag munchies. How would you plus up a chicken pot pie? I mean, I had just exiting my body. It was not great. I can't even look at chicken pot pie in the grocery store when I walk by it. But before then, I did really appreciate them. So if you were trying to maybe, get a nice chicken pot pie, actually put some time and some TLC into this, how would you do it?
Yeah. Well, one, you got to make the crust from scratch. That's where the TLC comes in my mind. And making the crust, it kind of sets the tone for the rest of the pie. Using real stock and flour instead of cornstarch in the gravy. I think the type of potato that you use in there is important. Instead of using waxy potatoes, use starchy potatoes, and that when they cook, it helps thicken the sauce while it's cooking.
Yeah.
Organic or antibiotic-free chicken. And I like a mix of dark and white meat. I like the texture of the white meat, but I like the fattiness of the dark meat. So I'm going to put a mix of that diced in there. Nice, good carrots, maybe even some yellow and orange mix. Man, you got me hungry, Jake. Dang.
Oh, yeah. No, you deserve this, Chef, because for 3 years doing this show, you make me hungry every single Thursday. You deserve this.
Yeah, I got a soft spot for pot pie too, man. And
I get it. Before it was bad, it was great for me.
It's like one of the perfect dishes, and a close behind it is like a shepherd's pie, and I even like to do shepherd's pie with I forget what they call it when you make it with chicken, but instead of doing the beef and a ground beef, make it with like chicken and chicken gravy, and it just turns out something that's really wonderful. I have a soft spot for mashed potatoes. I'm raising some grit eaters, what I call grit eaters. They're Louisiana borns, but I have a little soft spot for potatoes myself.
Hashtag munchies. I clean some metal bottles with dish soap, and I can't get the soap taste out of the bottle. So I guess like Dawn dish, maybe soap. I've tried using vinegar and baking soda, but neither have worked. Any ideas how to fix this?
So vinegar is not the strongest acid in the kitchen. Lemon juice is, and I would suggest going to a lemon juice, and maybe even you're going to need to go get some of that real lemon in a jar probably, and let it soak in there for a while. Also, a lot of people make the mistake of using hot water when they do that, and it makes it suds and nice and helps release oils and stuff off of it. But cold water actually rinses the soap cleaner. It doesn't allow it to stick as much. but I would start with lemon juice and let that soak in there for a good long while, shake it around, agitate it, maybe even get a small bottle brush to kind of brush the edges. But lemon juice is something that tends to take the flavor and odor off of fowl pretty easily. You know, like we use it to wash our hands after cleaning fish. We use it to wash our hands after handling, you know, things that have strong flavor and odor. And lemon juice tends to, it is the strongest acid in the kitchen that's safe to use. So also, it's important to understand that soap is an alkali, right? And you need to understand where the alkali lies on the scale. And lemon juice is a stronger acid than soap is an alkali, and so that's going to help counterbalance that you know, acid base interaction.
All right, Chef. I think I'm gonna like butcher this. Surströmming prep fish. I believe it's Swedish, maybe. Like, how would you prepare that?
I'm not familiar with the term. Can you spell it for me?
Surströmming.
Ooh, I don't know. I'm not terribly. I know a lot of Swedish dishes are like pickled herring, and they're really interesting, but I'm not sure that's what that is. But I'm not familiar with the. Yep.
I eat a lot of catfish. You think I know what is Swedish fish? The only thing I know about Swedish fish is the candy.
Yeah, they do some weird stuff with fish in Sweden. Like they pickle it and ferment it, and you got to have a very open mind for flavors and textures to do that.
All right, last one here, Chef. And you know we always appreciate your time, and I'm glad that you're finally hungry during this segment, like we are every single time. Hashtag Munchies. The chef recommends soaking non-organic fruits and veggies in a baking soda and water mixture to remove some of the pesticides.
I definitely recommend, you know, at very least rinsing them. You know, like you absolutely want to run hot water over it to rinse any of the wax and stuff. I wash all of my fruits and vegetables, especially stuff that's ready to eat. You know, like apples. If you're going to eat the skin, it's not necessary for stuff that you're going to peel, like an orange or a banana. But, you know, like stone fruit or apples, absolutely want to wash them at very least with hot water. We use an antimicrobial wash in hot water that you know, you soak it in there for 2 minutes or you wash it over it for 2 minutes and let it sit and then rinse it. And not only does it get the pesticides off, it gets you know, it frees it of any bacteria or virus or anything that could potentially be on it. But you at very least need to be rinsing it with hot water. Yeah, for sure.
All right, Chef, it turns out the fish that we were asking about that neither one of us knew, it's a fermented fish. It's canned rotten fish. Also, it says it's the stinkiest fish in the world that is wonderfully delicious. Is delicious a word? I don't know. It's a horrible, rotten smell. So it turns out it's not something that I want to be a part of anyway.
Yeah, I kind of thought that's what it was. And you know, like I'm not getting into the fermented fish business anytime soon.
No.
Yeah, there's a reason I was unfamiliar with the term because it's never going to be on my repertoire. Yep.
Yeah, and I am right there with you. Chef Michael Johnson, good enough to join us for your Munchies questions every single Thursday. Chef, we appreciate it. All right, some more great, by the way, T-Bop and Gronk stuff in the chat. But there was a question asked inside the Bayou Ford chat that I do want to get to about one of the situations that T-Bop found himself in. Also want to remind you about the MMR group. Go today to the website, mmrgrp.com. You can type in MMR group on any search engine as well, and it is going to pull up careers they have available right now for you. And they got them in different locations as well. So go to the website and find something that works for you. A lot of things available. If you're here in the Baton Rouge area, we always talk about their campus off Airline Highway. I mean, you'll see exactly who you're dealing with. I mean, they are about you, right? They are a company that you're going to want to work for, be a part of. Again, mmrgrp.com or MMR Group on any search engine to pull up those careers. All right. When we come back, we'll get to the question asked inside the Bayou Ford chat. We'll do it right here on OTB.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
All right, K2ZBlinds.com. K2ZBlinds.com is the website to go to for K2Z window coverings. And I've told y'all my story before, but I mean, I just want to give you an example of what they can do for you. Like, so for me, it was that outdoor shade that we always talk about. And we're watching TV during the day and we want to get all the glare off the TV, we drop this thing down. But also, like, it's going to drop the living room temperature, right? If it's one of those hot summer days and you've been running the AC all day long, it's just not cooling off. It's okay. Like, drop that shade and you're going to see a difference. I had no idea. That this outdoor shade, which we were getting for our outdoor space, was going to help the interior of the home as well. But Brandon Barton knew, because he's been doing this for so long. He's going to know your space, I promise you, better than you know it in 5 minutes. Like 5 minutes now, he's going to come in and you're going to be blown away. He's done it for me in the kitchen as well with a Roman shade. He can do so many different things for you. Find out all they can do for you at their website. Again, K2ZBlinds.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
When things heat up, you don't just want a cold one. You want the coldest one. The cold lagered, cold filtered, cold packaged one. Mountain Cold Refreshment. Coors Light. Choose chill.
Bayou Ford has $10,000 off F-150, $10,000 off the new 2024 Ford F-150, and all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Farming is a way of life for us. It's not something we get up in the morning and dread going do. It's just something we go to bed at night looking forward to getting up to go do. John Deere equipment is what we as farmers strive to have. So it's in your blood, it's in your veins. It's just a part of who you are. Green is what we want to be in. The other tractors were acquired to patch it up to get to where you want to be. Where we want to be is in John Deere. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations.
Thursday edition of Live at Lunch, live at the original Walk-Ons on Burbank. We're loaded down with guests, getting you ready for the weekend. 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Live at Lunch, live at Walk-Ons on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
All right, welcome back in, OTB. We've had a lot of fun throughout the show talking about potential conversations that T-Bob is going to have with Gronk this weekend in Cabo, and we're just hoping it goes well for him. But I think it was Daniel Blunt, I think, that asked the question. Maybe it was Daniel Basham. Either way, it was one of our Daniels. Asked about the Tennessee game, because we were talking about T-Bob talking about the snap in that Tennessee game with Gronk, maybe a conversation starter. and asked what I was doing during that game and during that moment, because I was already, had moved on and was in the NFL. I think I've told this story before, but obviously, it's been a while. So I'm in Poway, California. I am sitting there in the recliner watching the LSU game. Just got home from Saturday practice. We would have an early practice, and we'd be done by the time the first game kicked off. And Norv was, big about letting us go home and hang out, time with family, whatever. And so I'm at home on Saturday watching the game, and the situation happens, and you look like you bad clock management. Go figure. You run out of time. You lose the game. We all know the situation against Tennessee. T-Bob snaps the ball. Well, I'm upset. And we had a couple of guys that played for Tennessee on the team, and I just knew, one, I was going to lose some money, but two, I was going to have to hear about it. It's just going to be a whole situation and just laughing stock and another clock management situation. And so, oftentimes, I get mad back then at LSU losses, but I was, focused so much on, the NFL and doing what I had to get done. And maybe not, I didn't take it as hard as I probably do now, but I was mad at that one, because of the way that it happened, and you had a chance to win the game. And so I was just mad. And so we had to get a couple things from the store anyways. I was like, I'll do it after the game. And when that happened, I stormed out of the house. I looked like a little kid. I threw a tantrum. I was just stomping out of the house. I get up from the chair, I grab the keys, grab my wallet, and I'm just out. So I didn't bring my phone because I didn't care. I was just angry. And so don't grab my phone, go to the store, and I'm just probably grumpy, getting whatever we needed at the stores right down the street. And so because I didn't have my phone, I had no idea that LSU had actually won the game, because I stormed out whenever it looked like time ran out off the clock. And so I come back, and again, no phone, no idea, bringing the groceries. And Katie's like, I bet you feel dumb. I was like, what do you mean? She's like, LSU won. I said, no, they didn't. Time ran out. I saw time run out. What do you mean they won? They didn't have any time. They were losing. The game's over. She's like, well, I don't think she probably said T-Bob. She's like, well, they snapped the ball, and luckily they snapped the ball because they had 13 guys on the field. And LSU got a chance to replay it, and, of course, they ran toss dive, and they scored. And I was like, no, they didn't. And so, I'm running to my phone, and sure enough, I've got a ton of messages, and social media wasn't as big then, but it was still something that was, already happening. I go to social media, and I see it, and so I had no idea for a good 30 minutes that LSU had actually won the game, and I was pissed off at the Albertsons in Poway, California. The sweet lady who used to check me out, Miss Mary, probably got the worst side of me because LSU had just blown this game in just a fashion that you can't lose a game. And then I'll never forget seeing my wife when I walked into the house and being like, I bet you feel dumb because LSU just won this game. And, who would have thought that just, 15 years later, I would be doing radio with my guy, T-Bob Avery, who snapped the football. I don't know if y'all remember where y'all were watching. I'm sure, Taylor, yeah, you probably do.
So I was actually at this game. Me and my dad went. I was a freshman in high school, and obviously everybody in the stadium super mad. You think you lose. We wait. We're excited that we get to run another play. Of course, they toss it to Stephen Ridley, who T-Bob's at his wedding this weekend. So very appropriate that we were talking about it today. And we're excited, but we still felt like we lost. You were so mad. You're excited. Me and my dad, we always talk about the game, leaving the stadium. That's something we've done my entire life. We barely said two words to each other walking to the car. We were excited. We get to the car. My dad's like, I felt like we lost. And I was like, yeah, me too. We get in the truck, and I just started laughing. He's like, what are you laughing at? I was like, how in the hell does that always happen in an LSU game? I was like, there was one crazy thing after another, and then we just enjoyed it. We had a good time all the way home. Yeah, it's one of the core memories I guess I have of going to games when I was young. I wasn't young. I was a freshman in high school, but
yeah. Alonzo, you're probably rooting for Texas at the time. Do you remember the game?
What year was it? I don't remember this game.
It was
2010. Yeah, I think I was still Texas days.
I think we need to pull the video.
Yeah,
I think we need to play the video up, and maybe we'll go to break like a little bit early, or maybe if Taylor, if you can get it in time. Inside the Value 4 chat, DA, probably Dennis Allen, with a comment like this. Yeah, any chance Jake gets to brag about his NFL days like every day?
Are you bragging?
DA, I wasn't bragging. That's part of the story. Like, that's my schedule, like on Saturdays. And DA, if you were doing a sports talk show for 3 hours, do you think that if you played in the NFL, you'd bring it up every once in a while? Right?
Yeah.
Like, am I wrong there?
No.
Yeah, okay. Like it's story time, man. It's like part of it. Like, I got to bring it up.
If I played in the NFL.
Hey, I played in the NFL, DA. I don't know if you know that.
I would shake people's hand and be like, Taylor played
What's
in the
up?
NFL.
Former NFL player.
Yeah, I played in the NFL.
Like, we're doing a sports show. Part of story time, like when I have Bobby on, is when him and I were in the A-gap against each other, running 20 ISO when he was with the Cowboys and I was with the Chargers, and now we do radio together.
My dad thought it was super cool that I got to call. Last time when we called him, he thought it was super cool.
He's probably a Cowboys fan.
My dad's a huge Cowboys fan.
Yeah.
Worse than Taylor. One of my uncles, though, that he lives in on my mom's side. So he lives in Mexico. Named my cousin Smith after Emmitt Smith.
Oh, lovely.
Oh,
they're Cowboy people for real.
DA, we're not in our feelings. I'm just telling you, like, that's the way it is. Like, I'm not bragging about it. Like, it's not like I went out there and had this 14-year all-pro career.
You should just wear your jersey every day.
Yeah, thinking about it. I think actually T-Bob has one of my Charger jerseys in our office. I think, should I put that on, DA, for this next segment? Maybe I should. I don't know. Either way, not in feelings. I'm just telling you, like, it's not brag time. It's just, it's going to come up. And it's probably not going to be the last time either. Like, it's a long time ago. I get that. It's not cool. Hell, the team doesn't even have the same name as when I played for them, okay? Dennis Allen, DA. We see you. You can't hide.
I know,
that.
this is Dennis Allen's
There's no
burner.
doubt. There's no doubt it is. Because Dennis Allen would certainly have a burner that's DA. All right, we'll play the video for you to wrap up today's OTB. Also, get your questions in. Ask the Bench. Brought to you by Cold Cruise Light, Vizzy Hard Seltzer, Blue Moon, Light Sky, Citrus Sweet. We'll have that for you when we jump back here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
All right, go to PECbuilt.com, PECbuilt.com. Pinnacle Exterior Construction, so many different things they can do for you. Pools, outdoor living, fences of any kind, bulkheads as well. And one of the things we've been telling you about over the last couple of days and weeks is the outdoor turf they can do for you, right? Like, we know it's going to rain here in South Louisiana. That's just going to be the case. And unfortunately, like, if you don't have the turf space, well, even if it's not raining, you can't do anything out there. Can't have any activities. Can't have the putting green. Can't have the workout space because, well, it's wet and muddy. But if you have the turf installed by Pinnacle, if it's not raining, then you're going to be okay. Like, you're going to have this space that you can have all these activities. You can have so much fun, you, the kids, whatever it might be, and they can come in and they can give you that space. We talked about it. Any kind of fence that you need, they've got you covered. Don't forget pools, outdoor living. Find it all at PECbuilt.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Farming is a way of life for us. It's not something we get up in the morning and dread going do. It's just something we go to bed at night looking forward to getting up to go do. John Deere equipment is what we as farmers strive to have. So it's in your blood, it's in your veins. It's just a part of who you are. Green is what we want to be in. The other tractors were acquired to patch it up to get to where you want to be. Where we want to be is in John Deere. Flip the switch and learn.
Join me for a Thursday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, presented by Rouse's, the latest from the College World Series baseball transfer portal. And Luke Johnson talking Saints. Hunt Palmer Show 1 to 3 weekdays, 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
Yep. All right, here is the play that we're talking about because we've all seen it, but it is glorious. And why would we not revisit a time in LSU history that Gronk is going to find out about this weekend?
13 people on the field. And you know what? Unbelievable. There was no way LSU was going to make a play there anyway. What a break for LSU. They had no idea what they wanted to do.
One untimed play. See, what's amazing, I was trying to point out that Jefferson was at the sideline having the time to settle his team down and call a play.
No doubt, he did.
Jefferson will go under center in a wild end here in Baton Rouge. Pitch, Ridley. Touchdown! LSU! A miracle! A miracle in Baton Rouge!
I mean, my guy Derry Dooley was so pissed. He didn't even go shake hands. He went straight to the locker room. What a bad play call to win the game, by the way, as well. Like, we're running toss dive into a 11-man box. Everybody in the stadium knows you're going to run it. Thank God you had an NFL running back there. Hey, Stephen Ridley, DA, played in the NFL. To be able to get into the end zone. Because there was a guy that came scot-free in the backfield. Ridley made him miss and then lowered his head and got into the end zone. What a horrible situation all the way around. I mean, Tigers win at the end of the day. That play that's one of the moments that will never go away. That will never be topped.
The thing I love about it, it wasn't 12 men on the field. It was 13.
13,
They had 13 guys. They had 7 defensive linemen, if you go back and look. It was one of the most incredible things I've ever seen. And, Jake, he almost did not get in, too. Like, you go watch, he's met at the goal line. I mean, I remember they kept showing the replay. Like, he was that close.
T's reaction is funny. Just, slams his...
Oh, he was so mad. Y'all, I'm pretty sure Serbia just tied it.
Oh, no.
And
we don't want Serbia to tie it?
You did this again.
I did it again. This is the second day in a row that I've asked, should I bet it? Because it's right here at the death, and I didn't do it. It's plus 850.
Oh.
I did it again.
Yikes.
What do
that
we do?
post no bet regret.
And I just asked y'all, and it was 1-0. I mean, y'all actually said, but you know what? I had to concentrate. It's another missed opportunity. It's okay. It's okay. We won't talk about it. for a couple minutes. Ask the bench, is there any record of that Royal Match ad read you did? I've wanted to see that for a long time. Probably. So they hit me up on Cameo, and look, I got paid some pretty decent coin to do that. Just did like a read for them, and I got paid every month that they used it. Like just one recording, and every time they used it, I got paid per month. But you know what they did? They got too big time for little old me, and they started to get the people from Suits to do it.
Meghan Markle is out here.
So, well, she wasn't doing it, but everybody else, all the other cast members of Suits, like they now do Royal Match ads. That's crazy. Yeah. They don't want to talk to any of the sports talk shows.
I've seen those. I didn't know you did that.
I did. It's funny, like the people that would pop up and they'd be so confused.
Dead. These little video games, that is so funny.
Yeah.
That would be so funny if Jake just popped up on my phone, like, get this Royal Match.
Brian Burgess, I listened to a 30-minute or so rant about Miles this morning from another YouTuber. Yeah, I can guess who that is. Never been a fan of Coach. And so, like, that's fully expected from him. But look, to each their own, okay? To each their own. I've told you many times before, like, on the field, Coach Miles gave me opportunities that I don't know that anybody else would have, right? So I can always appreciate that. I don't see any more Ask the Bench. Tomorrow, though, so I won't be here, but Troy LaBeouf will fill in, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire is going to be in studio for a full hour tomorrow. Big show. Troy's got huge guests lined up. Join us then, OTB, tomorrow morning, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
All right, go to All-Star Toyota of Baton Rouge.com. All-Star Toyota of Baton Rouge.com. That is the place to go if you're looking to buy a new vehicle. And we tell you all the time. Also, if you're looking to lease and also if you're looking to rent, everything is available with so many different options for you or your family. If you need a full-size SUV, mid-size SUV, sedan, whatever it is, multiple trucks, Sienna minivan. If you want to be a part of the Murdered Out Mini gang, like you can be a part of that. If you want to tell Gronkowski about that, how you've got black on black on black, like you can do that as well. That's going to come up in conversation. All that is over at their website, allstartoyotaofbatonrouge.com. Again, summer rental time. Check out the per-day rental prices. Incredible prices. Everything's available. Right time. Reserve it now. Call Miss Lisa Sessions today. allstartoyotaofbatonrouge.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.